I mean, those are the two things it requires, and that's what we're failing at. No, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Mikey,
The Mike Moon Show!
You've been around me for almost those 5 years, right? What is the last thing I always say before I close your room? Does anybody recall? Anybody?
It's be kind to one another. I know you say that.
Yeah, it's free to be nice.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing. Just be nice to each other. We don't have to agree, but let's respect each other. I don't know why that's so hard. Because you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, or you're a Libertarian. Who gives a fuck?
Right. And that's a message that needs to be said more than ever on 9/11 after yesterday. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. It's intense. It's deep. We're all feeling it from different perspectives. But we're all feeling the same thing. We're feeling the same thing from different directions. And we need to realize that we have more in common than we have apart.
He lifted 2 buckets.
I don't know if we have any.
Now we had to pass through a narrow and sloping. He had to reach the top of the mountain.
Listen, if we have any God-fearing people in the
The
room,
condition was that his arms must remain open and his balance must not.
I don't know how y'all have been feeling. Right on, sister. Shout out to Sandra. I don't know how y'all have been feeling the past couple weeks, but after, oh Lord, let's see, the woman, the Ukrainian woman that was stabbed, the political violence that I've been following in Nepal, which is craziness. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it on that Clubhouse. I just don't think a lot of people know what's going on. The Charlie Kirk situation, and so many other little, school shootings. Today I was going on my daily walk, and there's this church by me. Now, mind you, I haven't gone to church in years. But today I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start going back to church to pray for healing for humanity. I don't know how many people have been feeling that way in light of recent events. How many people feel like they just want to get closer to God or pray more or just surround themselves with, like-minded spiritual people? Because there's power in prayer, power in that collective energy of prayer. So I don't know if anybody is feeling that. This is kind of a rhetorical question. I'm just putting it out there that I was just called to come back to church today and pray for healing, for humanity, because I'm really scared of the direction that we're going. For the first time in I think probably in my life, well, in a long time, I was afraid to go out of the house today. I was afraid to walk 2 blocks to the store. I had to pray before I left the house. Please, Lord, don't let me get shot in the neck or just let me get shot. Now, I don't live in a violent neighborhood, but you just don't know, right? So I don't know. We just need to collectively pray. I don't know. There's more of a statement than a question, ladies and gentlemen. I just want.
Thank you for saying that. And I have to say, I want to shout out Jarl's comment in the chat, which was, let's all pray to Grok, because that's a whole other issue. I thought that was...
How you doing, Sandra?
I'm well, JB. I was wondering where you were. I've been looking for you the last few days.
I'm glad. I was on vacation.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you. The mic is yours, ma'am.
It is a little scary. It is a little scary. And I do still pray. And I have been praying. And I'm just hoping that we can get out of this alive, because it's just so many different things going on right now. It's a lot of different things going on right now. So I'm praying. I'm trying to stay focused. I'm trying to stay positive, and it is a little scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little scary.
Do you know, Sandra? I'm listening to you. I'm listening to Nye, both women who I have the utmost respect for. And I'm gonna date myself here. Myself and probably Mike Moon and maybe Jordan and maybe a couple other people in the room. But I remember growing up under Ronald Reagan, right? No matter what you do, are you Republican, Democrat, feeling amongst the country that America was on the upswing. And I grew up in Brooklyn, right? It wasn't the safest area, but there was hope. There was something there that we all gravitated to. Now fast forward to 45 years later, and it's not there anymore. How do we become so divided? How do this cultural war start? You know, I mean, look, Nye is my ride or die on this app, right? We open rooms. She's always by my side. We have two very different political views in the world, but we still respect each other. We still like each other. I don't say, you know what, the digital, I agree with you. Social media, with no guardrails, has really fucked up this world. Excuse my language. You know what, there's so much shit going on in this world. We haven't even spoke about the school shooting yesterday in Colorado, where the young man who was the shooter is dead, and two young kids were shot.
Doesn't even make the news anymore. School shootings are failing to make the news now.
Jay, yesterday there was a 13...
Hold on. Let me just say this real quick. This young shooter, this young man, I think he was 16, he was radicalized online. He started following some Islamic websites, and that was it. Next thing you know, he's taking a gun to school. Get Adams.
Well, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So there was a 13-year-old boy shot in a drive-by shooting in Santa Ana, California yesterday, and nobody talked about it. Shot and killed. Shot and killed. You know, it's crazy to me how nobody wants to have a conversation about these things, but then they want to latch on to the divisive arguments about all the bullshit that's going on in the culture wars. Like it's delusional. It's delusional. It's absolutely delusional.
Well, let me ask this question real quick, Mike. Let me just ask this one question, and this is to anybody. Is there a violence problem in America? A people violence problem? Or is there a gun violence problem in America?
Both. I think
it's a gun violence problem.
I think the nation and a mental health problem. I think that the mental health problem is largely brought on by social media. I think that the country took a major escalation yesterday when nearly everybody saw a close-up video of a man being shot in the neck and pouring out a quart of blood in 2 seconds. I personally have visited sites where I saw beheadings. I've sought them out to look at them because I'm just morbid like that. I've seen, Mexican cartel killings, but I know most people don't do that. They don't want to see them. They would choose not to. Yet, yesterday, for the first time, a majority of our population saw very graphically at close-up range what it's like to take a bullet to your carotid artery. And I think that it was a turning point of sorts where the violence was so visceral that it's impacting people who were not fans or didn't even know who Charlie was in a way that I don't know where it's going to go, but I think in my opinion, people need to see the results firsthand of this kind of destruction, human destruction, in order to really fully understand oftentimes what they're supporting without even knowing it. So I think it took a graphic step forward in a really bizarre way yesterday. I'm personally reeling from it. I've seen worse personally, but I've never seen that bad on a regular streaming platform that was literally shown to my son, who walked in from school and said, "Oh my God, some kid just threw this picture in front of me of some guy, shooting blood out of his neck." He's like, "I didn't even know." I'm like, "What the hell am I being shown this for?" That's different than the past. There's something changed because of that. Something's going to change in people because of that. And I hope that it results in something that isn't horrendous. And hopefully the opposite for some reason, maybe to give a little bit of a shit more about humanity. I don't know, but I'm just saying it was a big deal.
Thank you, Mike. Let me say hello to Protagonist. Protagonist, how you doing?
What's going on, JB?
You're very low, my friend. Can you turn up your mic?
So turn it up.
Yeah, you're very low. I can barely hear you.
That's better?
Say again?
I said, is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so to answer your question, I feel like it's a people's problem more than it's a gun problem. And, it's pretty evident when you see how many people, you know, out there that's heartless and literally have no soul. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care what ideology you have, what you believe in, right? To see a man sitting live on the stream in front of his wife and his kids get shot in the neck and die live in front of everybody, to see that and come on social media and start celebrating his death, like, is there's some really sick people out there, right? And we can't just blame it on guns, like, because we're seeing it in the aftermath, right? After the death, the guns ain't doing it. The guns ain't getting on Instagram and Facebook Live with their phones and talking about, you know, celebrating a man's death because he didn't believe, you know, or he spoke against a man wanting to transition into a woman. Like, yeah, you can do that, but like that doesn't make you a woman, right? For him standing on, you know, Jesus Christ and God first and love and, you know, being a good overall human being and being a good person, like that's the type of messages like he was pushing, right? To have somebody get killed for speaking the truth is I wouldn't say an eye opener, because we all know we have assassinations of, you know, JFK for, you know, speaking some truths and going against the grain with the system. We have Martin Luther King, we have Malcolm X. Like we've seen it over the course of history where when someone have an impact and influence on people and can galvanize the American people, or perhaps change their mind, get them thinking outside the box, they assassinate those people. It's just that we heard about stories of that, we didn't actually see it. This is the first time, like, for us to actually see it, right? Not just hear about it, but and that's what makes it even more like real, because it's like, yo, like, and this is why everybody is like where they at and viewing the world different, and some people are like probably reluctant at this point in time to even, you know, speak and say certain things. I think that was done on purpose to inject fear into the world, to have people who speak the truth or go against the system to fall back into their shell and not be vocal. I think this was a message.
So one of the things he said, and I might lose my battery, is that he would not get on a plane with a black pilot. In 2025, that kind of intolerance is probably going to provoke someone out there among the 330 million people in America. So it was intolerance that he was perpetuating.
That wasn't even the worst of it.
Hold on. Respectfully, context means everything, right? So I don't like the fact. I don't like bashing
people in their death.
Slippers, relax. This is what I'm saying, like, because I heard a lot of people say that, right? He said the comment about him with the black pilot, right? And y'all never put it out. Y'all never put the context out there. He was asked a question, right? And it was based off of a ruling that came down in the judicial system about DEI, and it was a suit against a company, you know, for practicing or not practicing, whatever the case may be. And he spoke about how the airline said that they was going to increase. It was only 3 or 4% of the pilots were black, and they wanted to increase that to 50%. This was their goal, to have 50% of pilots black. And because they was trying to do that, they had put in there that they was going to lower the standards of certain things. They, not just black, I'm sorry. They wanted 50% of black and women. That's what it was. It wasn't just black people. It was black people and women as pilots. They wanted to increase from 4% to 50%. That is a dramatic jump, which means that you would literally have to stop hiring white people or other ethnicities of people to specifically get this done. So now we dealing with racism now, because now you're saying in order for you to get 50%, you have to hire based off of race, and that's racism, right? I'm only gonna hire a bunch of black people and women until we reach this 50% quota, which means that if a white or Asian pilot come and they qualify for the job, but you know we gonna have to hire somebody over here. That's what it was. And that's what they was talking about. And that's when he said that, if I get on a plane with a black pilot doing this or enacting this policy, if I get on a plane and I see a black pilot, I may question myself and my safe because they already said that they lowering the standards just so they can hire more of them. So that means they may be okay pilots. They may not be the best, the cream of the crop. Like, so, and people take that and then they try to racialize and be like, oh, he hated black people. No. Y'all take everything out of context. That wasn't the point. The point was they was talking about DEI. And in order to fulfill DEI numbers, you have to reach a quota. That's what it is. The same thing we complain about with police officers. The reason why police officers harass people in inner city communities is because when they at job and they go in and they have that meeting, the chief or whatever want to know, what was your quota? How many people you arrested? So now they out here pressured trying to fill quotas or they lose their job. And that's what happens when you implement quotas. Quotas aren't a good thing. So now you will have, and I don't want to repeat myself, but that's basically what DEI would do. It implements a quota, and then now you have to ostracize a bunch of people from a specific race just so you can fill this quota. And that's not right.
Thank you, protagonist. AC, you wanted to jump in, then I want to go to Sir and Moose.
Yeah, briefly, I think so. I was not a fan of Charlie Kirk as a organizer. I did see his potential with his ability to galvanize, particularly young white men and women under the age of 30. He definitely was on the trajectory of having some sort of a running for some sort of political office that he would have won outright, right? But I will say this, is Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, is just a more polished version of Nick Fuentes. And what he did is he normalized far-right ideology in the public. And so Charlie Kirk spread a bunch of lies about DEI. As a DEI practitioner, somebody that built not only JP Morgan's diversity, equity, inclusion initiative, but also Salesforce's, what I'll tell you is he spread so much misinformation, which protagonist, you kind of repeated what he wanted people to think about DEI. And so I will say this, without hijacking the conversation and staying on topic, is Charlie Kirk spread lies on DEI that people actually believe. When people say the term DEI hire, that really is supposed to mean the most qualified candidate and the most vetted candidate, right? In terms of, we're going to market this opportunity to everyone and the most qualified person gets the role. But I will say this, to both protagonists and Charlie Kirk's sort of position on DEI, is that a lot of organizations did implement it incorrectly. And so some of the criticisms of DEI is valid, but that's based more so on poor execution than it is the actual the actual implementation of the work. And I'll let my plane with that.
Thank you, AC. Everybody hold on. Slippers, I got you. But let me just say this real quick. Whether we want to agree or disagree or argue over it, the Donald Trumps, the Charlie Kirks, and the people of that ilk, they speak to a certain segment of America that feels that they hadn't had a voice in many, many years. Now, is Donald Trump a racist? I don't know. I have my opinion. Everybody has their opinion. Was Charlie Kirk a racist? I don't know. I like Charlie Kirk because I thought at least he wasn't, and I felt disingenuous in his debates. He gave people a chance to push back. But like I said, there's a segment of America that resonates with these people. Get Slippers.
So I really wish that people, in kind of breaking down the main rhetoric that was behind the platform that Charlie Kirk had, DEI was just a small part of that. I'm talking about the dehumanization that came behind him discussing the death of Black people in, modern times in America, especially during 2020. So, I mean, to me, it's very strange to me, and I'm not trying to offend anybody in this room, but it's very strange to me that a lot of conservative white people on this app wanted to run up into Black spaces and browbeat Black people for not holding what they felt was a certain acceptable form of empathy. So I'm going to go back to where this man developed a platform and doing nothing more than complaining, to be very honest with you. Didn't run for public office, never held any type of professional credential or any sort of position outside of just complaining on the internet. Okay, completely disrupted the grieving process of many black families in America by attaching his demonizing statements and bashing people after their death. So again, I go back to the point that I initially made, that I do not believe that what happened to him was okay. But I'm explaining to you why there's a certain ilk of Black America that, quite frankly, isn't necessarily not empathetic, but more indifferent, given his vicious attacks against people and bashing them after their death.
Thank you, Adams. Moose, you want to chime in on this? Moose, are you there? Jersey Moose. Let me go to Sir. Mr. Skilled Tradesman, how you doing?
What's up, JB? What's up, everyone?
You want to chime in?
No, I'm just listening, bro. I'm just listening in. But what's up?
I know that voice. It's my man, the librarian. You changed your name.
Librarian, yeah.
Why'd you change your name for? That was like your trademark, dude.
Just go pin crazy and just invite a bunch of people.
Say again, Bella?
Did y'all just go pin crazy and invite a bunch of people?
Did we go crazy?
Just pin crazy, like go pin crazy, like ping, 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 ping. I don't know most of you. Not to be rude though. Sorry, I apologize.
Well, we made the room for you, Bella. We've been waiting for you to get here. You're kind of the focus of the whole thing. So thanks for showing up.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
You know, JB, I would say that this incident yesterday on the college campus with this murder, it goes to say that you should be mindful of what come out your mouth, because everything that he have said, he have openly lived, including his murder. I hate to say it that way. He believed in public executions. His execution was public. I apologize for being so cruel, but it's the reality in which we live in.
Where did he say he believed in public execution? He said that.
You need to do your research on them.
No, I don't need to do no research. This is what I hate. Y'all come up here, y'all make claims, and if you know it, then substantiate your claim. What did he say?
Hold on. First of all, you didn't ask me what did he say. What I said was, if you want to know exactly what he said, word for word, go and you can research the man. You can type in his name, and you know it's gonna come up.
I watched a lot of his videos. I've never heard. That's why I'm asking you. I'm not asking you that as if I don't know who he is or I never heard his material. I know the exact quote that you're talking about. That's why I said, where did he say that he was okay with public execution? He never stated that. Not one time.
You sure?
So you just came up here and lied. I'm positive. I'm 1,000% positive.
If I play the clip, you'll shut up?
Oh yeah,
play the
clip.
clip.
On this one. Play the clip.
He explained that he believed in public execution for those who commit horrible crimes as a deterrent. So do I agree with it. But I'm not going to openly say that, hey, yeah, we should just take every person that's convicted of a crime and put them out in the courtyard.
Wouldn't that only be ironic if he actually committed a horrible crime then? He was publicly executed, but you're missing the other half of what he said. He didn't commit any horrible crimes.
Hey, he asked for the execution.
There's no irony there. Yeah. The irony I'll give you.
Execution. What are you talking about? See, this is the evil people I was just telling y'all that exist in the world. He asked for the execution. Who the fuck asked to be executed live like that? Come on, bro. You're a grown-ass man.
You have a good point, Protagonist. People take the quote and then they paraphrase it in their own words. But when they do that, they skew it based on what they hear from it. And then they re-quote it in their own words as if that's what was said. And then if you say that's not what was said, they'll play the quote, but then they'll double down on their version of what he meant. It's like this game that people play. I can't tell you how many times in the last day I've heard people talk about the time that Charlie Kirk said that the loss of some lives may be necessary in order to preserve the right for the Second Amendment for everybody else to have. And then they'll say, they'll talk about the irony of it. Listen, it is ironic that he said that and it happened to him. I'll give you that. But the idea that he's responsible for answering to the deaths of every single gun death in America just because he supports the right to bear arms, he is not responsible for needing to explain those deaths. So the very premise of the question was unfair in the first place. The only thing, in light of the fact that he said what he said and was killed the way he was, is that there is irony involved, and we can talk about how isn't that ironic. But we don't talk about how that he should have expected it or he deserved it because of what he said. That's a step too far, and it's a paraphrasing that doesn't coincide with what the actual words were. So I agree with your protagonist 100%. If people want to stand by the quote and leave it for the listener to interpret, that's fine. But don't interpret it for me and then tell me as if you're quoting him and it's fact, because it's not. I've heard him misquoted so many fucking times in the last day. It's frustrating.
Let me jump in for 1 second, protagonist, and then you can go with it. And I also want to say hello to Holly. Why'd you change your PTO? As soon as you came in, I'm like, oh, look at Holly. She's all grown up. Mike Moon, I sent you a text offline. If you could just
cool, yeah,
get
I'll
that
check.
real quick. Thank you. Yeah, protagonist.
Yeah, no, I just was challenging him on his position because like that's what a lot of people do, right? And for those that don't know Charlie Kirk or didn't listen to him, like, and they just found out about him because of what happened, like they're listening and they hear people come up there and say that, and then they're like, oh, he said that, and you know, now you're skewing people's perspectives when that's not what was said. That's not the context, you know. And then to say that he asked for his execution, like, come on, bro, you're a grown ass man. Like you out here, you acting like very emotional and irrational by making a statement like that. Nobody asked to be executed.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, protagonist.
So I really didn't have enough. Yeah.
Let me just ask you this question.
Yes.
This might be a polarizing question, people. First off, protagonist, please cash in your pink ticket. But let me ask you this question, bro. Do you feel that? Why does everything have to come down to race in America? Because it always seems like.
I think it's big business, man. It's a money grabber, and they want to keep pushing it because a lot of activists make money off of it. If you know, I'm not one that's. I know racism exists, but I'm not one that's big on pushing the whole race thing. Like everything isn't about race. It's not. Like I would align with people more if they wanted to make the argument that it's about class, right? Because that's what it really boils down to. Like that, like if you poor and you white and you poor and you black and you poor and you Asian, like they don't give a fuck about nobody poor more than other, right? So we want to talk about how impoverished communities, you know, like from all ethnicities, you know, have issues. I'm with that argument, but like just this whole race thing, like we got to get past that. That's the divide and conquer. That's what they've been using the whole time to keep us divided. And if we learn from history, we would see everybody that was on that tip wound up changing their mind. That's why you had the Rainbow Coalition with Fred Hampton and them. That's when Malcolm X came back from Mecca. He had a whole new perspective. He wasn't on that old white people bad shit. Like you've seen it over and over again with coalitions of the poor people coming together to change their predicament because we had more in common than we had, you know, differences. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, thank you, protagonist. You had some really good shares.
I think everything trickles down to race in America is because race. I mean, America is the first and only race-based empire in recorded human history. Like there has been other countries that have used something similar to race, like for example, India, the caste system, South Africa with their kind of race-based system, but they've never become world powers or empires. So in recorded human history, there has never been a race-based empire outside America. Every other empire never went by race, and I think because that was the inception of America, that everything boils down back to it. And I don't know how we're gonna be able to pivot outside of that. I just think in 2025, culture matters much more. But since it's America, everything goes back down to race.
Mike, you're top left, baby.
No, I made you a moderator.
Yeah,
I
you
want
still,
to be top left.
you are top. You still top left, bro.
I don't want to be.
I think it's time you step in. I think you get promoted to the big leagues, man. It's about time. You've earned your stripes.
Congratulations, Mike. This
Wow,
inevitable
thank you.
promotion was due any day.
Wow, I still prefer being Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson, but fair enough. Holly and Marshall, welcome to the stage. We have, just a recap, we've been talking about the room topic. We started there. We've also talked a little bit about Kamala Harris and her comments about her mistake she made with Joe Biden. Although she didn't really admit that she made the mistakes. She said it was a mistake. She took no responsibility for it. We've talked a little bit about that. And then, of course, Charlie Kirk's on everyone's mind, so we're allowing that conversation as well. So, Holly, welcome.
Interesting. I might not have the best service, so tell me if I'm chopping up.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Now you're not.
I've been
No, you're good now. Go ahead.
You're good now.
I'm still really hurting. My heart is still really hurting. I don't know. I'm just really struggling with all this, honestly. It's I'm still struggling. I don't know how to tell you. I don't know what else to say. I'm heartbroken still, and I'm trying to move past the fear that I find myself in and the heaviness.
I'm sorry to hear that. As your friend and recently even met you offline in real life, I can tell you that you're not alone. I know that a lot of people may think that it's unbelievable to feel personally really sad when it's a celebrity and somebody we don't know. I personally have been really sad about it too. I even broke down and cried a tiny bit when I was telling my wife about it yesterday, 'cause she doesn't follow politics or news much. And I found myself doing it, but my perspective, I wasn't a huge Charlie fan necessarily at all, actually. Although I did watch a lot of his videos because I enjoyed his intellect sometimes. My perspective was that I felt like it was a major step in the decline of American patriotism that I heard so many people justifying the killing of somebody who is the clearest example I can possibly imagine of just exercising his Second Amendment or First Amendment rights. And it was, I haven't heard until recently he's not a politician, he wasn't elected, he was just a guy with an opinion that was popular enough to make him famous, and he was killed for his opinion, and people celebrating that, and I see that as an unpatriotic thing to do as Americans. I think any American that can celebrate the killing of somebody for expressing their constitutional rights, therefore doesn't believe in the Constitution enough to be a patriot of their own country. And it's pathetic and it's sad. And then there was also the video, which I talked about earlier. It's the first time that a lot of people have seen anything that graphic. Most people don't search that shit out, even though beheading videos and things have been on the internet a long time. It was kind of in our face, X just doesn't freaking censor anything anymore. So I think a lot of people saw a cord of blood shoot out somebody's neck for the first time in their life. I think it's impactful. I think it hit a lot of people really hard, and it hadn't, for a lot of people, had nothing to do with who it was. Had everything to do with what it represents, the whole action itself. So I'm sorry that you've been feeling that way. I've been struggling too, and that's why we tried to do a room that didn't make it the highlight.
Well, let's say hello to Moose. Let's see what he thinks about Charlie Kirk. I got you, Marshall. Moosey, what's up?
Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Marshall? I've been trying to call on Moose for 5 minutes. You don't answer me.
I like Moose too. Come on, Moose.
Is it a New York, Jersey thing, Moose? All right, let's go to Marshall. Marshall?
So I just wanted to provide some historical context of something I looked up. AC made the claim that America is the only empire based off ethnicity or skin colors when his claim was. I looked this up. Most empires in antiquity, for example, or the Middle Ages, used ethnicity, culture, language, or religion. Roman Empire emphasized Roman citizenship, cultural assimilation, not color. The Chinese dynasties saw themselves as the Middle Kingdom, often drew lines between Han Chinese and the quote barbarians, but these were cultural ethnic boundaries, not radicalized by skin color. radicalized empires in the modern era. Ideas of race as tied to skin color really solidified during the Age of Exploration, the 15th to the 19th centuries, when European powers built overseas empires. So there are three empires that find themselves in this classic definition: Spanish-Portuguese empires, the British and the French empires, apartheid South Africa. Pseudo-racial empires or states would have been Nazi Germany and Jim Crow America specifically. I just thought that might be useful. AC wasn't trying to like scold you or nothing, just thought the history would be useful to you.
No, that's actually right, but the wrong part about it is the term race actually was redefined. Race used to mean your family group, right? So when we talk about our modern definition of colorized races, America is the only world power that's that way. You mentioned South Africa, they're not a world power. I specifically said world power, world leader. So if you weren't a world empire, like the #1 country in the world, then you don't count.
I don't know how, Mike. How does Marshall retain all these thoughts?
I don't know, but I love the angle he brings in. I always appreciate his shares. Unbelievable. Like, it just puts things into perspective. I like to hear about history. They say history, doesn't necessarily repeat, but it rhymes. It's really helpful when you have those submissions. I appreciate it. Welcome, Jason.
And
I guess we'll go to...
on top of that, Mike, before you go to the next speaker,
Yeah.
and this is no bullshit, Marshall's probably the nicest human being on this app. Always has been.
He is. Hell yeah, he is, dude. He invited me to stay in his family's cabin recently, and I was like, oh my God, that's so kind. I might take him up on one of these days.
Yeah, but Marshall, Mike, you didn't tell Marshall that if you stayed, you're not going to leave.
I'll probably leave. Texas is too fucking hot for me to stay there very long. Christine, you're up, and then Jason. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to respond.
Chris, you're very low, hon.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just talk. Yeah, get close.
Okay.
There you go. You sound great now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wanting to respond to what you said, Mike, about watching such a graphic, violent video. JB knows and Marshall knows I teach, and that's what's breaking my heart, is that kids are exposed to this. I mean, I had one class today, 2 groups of students were discussing the whole incident, and, I don't know. I mean, I have different thoughts on each side. Historically, people have been exposed to violence in the past. They weren't sheltered, but we were talking about it like it's the accessibility of the news and the constant accessibility, or the constant in our face. And, I told one student, I said, unless you stop using your cell phone and any tech device, we're really never not going to be overexposed. I mean, it gives me hope that they're conscious of it, they have issues with it, but it's obviously room's not about that. I mean, kids are exposed to a lot of really bad things via tech, so I don't know. It's just heartbreaking to me, and I knew that, they're going to be able to watch it, but I didn't know if they'd discuss it, and they did, and they pretty much confirmed. On a side note, I did give a disclaimer to the class that I don't mind them discussing some issues, but be aware of other people in the room, and because we're on computers, I said absolutely no videos, because I'm afraid, and I've had this before years ago, that students have watched something on a computer that was inappropriate like that in a.
What grade do you teach, Christine?
Well, I'm in high school, but that incident happened in college because I also taught cop.
Okay.
Mike, you remember when we were kids? We got those bootleg copies of Faces of Death.
Yeah. It was a big deal, though. It was shocking.
Yeah, it was.
And it wasn't nearly as graphic as the shit that video shows. Even that. For one thing, some of it was fake. Some of it was real. Some of it was faked. It was hard to tell which was which. This is 100% real. This reminds me a little bit of a turning point that I remember specifically, among children at least, when Bill Clinton brought the conversation about what blowjobs are to the youth of America almost overnight. It was something that strangely was not really understood or talked about prior to him. And then after his trial, it was common conversation among kids. Everybody knew what a blowjob was. Everybody learned what it was, regardless how old they were. It kind of reminds me of that. Is like, I remember that as a distinctive turning point that, like, okay, their innocence is forever lost in this one capacity. Of course, then, porn became ubiquitous and available, accidentally via the computer that everybody had in their pocket. That was another step. This is a step of violence that I think kind of fits in the same category.
Well, can I just say two things? Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking, and I looked at this site once years ago when the internet came out, rotten.com.
Yeah.
And I almost threw up, and I was like, I don't need to see this. I don't know if it was real, but if it was
real. It was real.
Oh my God, it was like someone's head blown off. But on a side note, to what you said, absolutely. And I'm also a parent, even though the kids are much older now. But rainbow parties and the rainbow thing was, I believe, post Clinton. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up. There was skepticism in the middle school age that was real, or was it like some kind of manufactured fear thing for parents and kids? But yeah, it was post Clinton. Like I think like you have, and I don't want to know what the repercussions like similar to this would be, but you have like timelines, like jumps in time where something gets into the consciousness of society, and then it morphs, I think, or influences or manifests, I guess is the right word, in other ways later.
It creates a permanent desensitization, right? Jason, you're up, and then MOG. Thank you for that, Christine.
Well, before Jason goes, let me just say this real quick. Then I'll hand it to Jason. Here's my opinion. What's wrong with society? There are two major problems. There's no guardrails at all on any social media, right? There's none. Kids look at the kid that shot two other kids in Colorado yesterday. He was radicalized online. That's one thing. And the second thing is the availability of porn. Porn is everywhere, and it's ruining these young kids, their minds, and I totally believe that. Jason, thank you for your patience, sir. The mic is yours.
Well, yeah, I guess I don't have much to say that's not been already said.
Cash in your pink ticket.
Jason, you don't seem like a deeply emotional person, although I'm not saying you aren't. How did yesterday affect you, or did it much?
Yeah, I was chagrined. I was really, I guess surprised by that. It was kind of I don't know what to say, disappointed, saddened. Yeah.
Were you disappointed in our country, our people, or what most?
It's like the times, right? Like, how did we get here? I've not watched very much of Charlie Kirk's content, and a lot of the time I've been like, there's a better way to say what he's saying. If there's when I think there's something good that he's saying, I don't find myself agreeing with him very much or supporting him, but at least he's out there trying to talk to people, right? And then for him to get killed like this, that's just, it's kind of unbelievable. It's like, I don't know. It's like they picked low-hanging fruit. They're like, well, if we try to kill Trump, it doesn't work, okay? So I guess I can't, the lone wolf or whatever, okay, he's not going to try to go for a political figure. He'll go for a somewhat a minor celebrity. That guy's not going to have very much, security or anything. So he'll kill that guy. And it's like not even, at that point, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I love the way you think. It's really pragmatic and really common sense, and you always bring an extra component to something I'm not thinking about, like the simplicity of going after the soft target, in retrospect and after the fact of missing Trump, and possibly it's the same sort of motives, but just a softer target. Something I don't I never really thought about it. It just makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that.
Well, Mike, let me say this. I don't know if people are aware that Charlie Kirk a couple of weeks ago met with a security agency, and they highly recommended that he put a bullet resistant glass around whatever speech he's going to give. And he said he would get back to him, and he never got back to him, and look what happened. But guys, I'm going to step aside for 5 minutes. Mike Moon is the top left. It's his room. Let's respect his rules. Get Mike.
Mike, can I get my key?
Yeah, absolutely, Mother. I was actually going to invite MG, and then you were next. So, MG, if you have anything to say, go ahead, and then Mother's, of course, next. And welcome.
All right, man. Greetings to the room. R.I.P. Charlie. Now, let me see. I didn't even know about this guy at all, like, period. So, I just started hearing about him yesterday, and first of all, let me say praise to his family and stuff, because that's crazy. So, I had to do a little research on the guy, and some of the things I saw first was like some outlandish quotes and shit about like some things about black people that were just kind of crazy. But I also saw some things that I agree with as well. So, you know, but I was criticizing people. I was like, I don't understand why you all are happy. I don't care what stupid opinion somebody has. Why are y'all happy somebody got shot in the neck in 4K? Like, you know, it's a disgusting time in American society when people are happy because of somebody with their different opinions that you don't agree with. They can't stop you if you have any willpower. They can't, like, why would you celebrate them getting shot in the neck in 4K? See, there's a couple elements around this. You saw the guy get shot, okay, and the way the bullet entered the man's body was crazy. And his children are going to have to grow up, and they're going to have to see that one day. That day, their lives will be ruined forever. And it's crazy that I see women celebrating this shit, and these leftist crazy heads. That's why they lost this election, because they're possessed by the goddamn devil. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? So I'm like, bro, you know. Now, I just want, you know, I was gonna get on the white people, man, but I'm giving y'all enough.
All right.
Mike, can I jump in?
Wait, yeah, you can, but hold on. Mother comes up after MG, and then I can throw you in next.
Okay, yeah.
MOG, I appreciate the share, and I appreciate your resistance to chastising white people for the time being.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not going to do it. Y'all going through a lot right now.
Hey, what you're saying puts you as an outsider among your own people as well, right? You're being logical about it. You understand this guy wasn't perfect, but you also find disgust in it. And I just want to say one thing. A lot of the people that are praising this don't even have the intensity or the intestinal fortitude to take down a deer on their own with a 30-06, but they'll sit there and praise. If you stuck it in their own hands, they'd probably throw up if they had to approach a deer that had been killed that way. So fuck them. Hey,
can I land with this real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick. I didn't agree with some of the things he said, but man, I saw a lot of what he did. A lot of times he was standing up for Christ. He was doing stuff that a lot of these niggas will not do. Excuse my pronouns. But it's like, so I don't understand why the people are just celebrating it. It's disgusting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's completely disgusting. But Mother, you can go ahead.
We hear you. Thank you, Mother.
So my view on this man has radically changed in 20 years. Yesterday I came on this app and I was saying, you know, it sucks that he got shot. Political violence is bad in this country, blah, blah, blah. That was my position yesterday. Then I took some time today and I went and actually looked up some of what this man has been saying. And this is someone who has advocated for putting to death all of the LGBTQ people in this country. This is someone who is advocating for businesses to not serve people, gay, trans people in this country. This is a guy that says he's totally fine with deaths in this country if it protects the Second Amendment. This is man's views. Good riddance. Fuck him. He won't be missed is my position now. Yesterday I was feeling bad for him, but now I think it is actually better for our country for him to be dead.
So, well, let me say one thing. You're certainly entitled to that opinion. I'm sure that many people share it with you. I will say that the three things that you found and you said in the beginning of your comments are arguably interpretable differently when put into context and read through different lens. So what you're giving us is a paraphrase of 3 things that he supposedly said based on how you heard them. But short of listening to them, interpreting them for ourselves, what you're saying is easily just as inaccurate as inaccurate. There's much more to some of the things you've mentioned that I'm well aware of than how you put them. So when you overly simplify like that, it does a disservice to the people in the room that aren't familiar with the exact quotes you're talking about.
So this process right here, where you twist what I'm. So first of all, did you want me to pull up the quote and read verbatim what he said and then do a dialogue? That's ridiculous.
I think it. Hang on, mother. I think it'd be helpful.
Their own research. This man is a piece of shit, and is it what I'm consolidating?
Again, I heard you and I respected
is exactly what his statement is. So stop trying to make this man a saint. He's a
perfect. So why don't you put in a link to all 3 of the points that you made, things you said relative to those points.
Research.
No, you asked me, hang on, you asked me if I wanted you to, and I said, yeah, I do. I'd like you to put the quotes in so people can interpret themselves. See, the problem with the people today is they like to hear the opinions of other people and then take them as fact without using their own intellect to determine what was really being said, their own listening comprehension. If you paraphrase what he said, take it out of context and give me the cliff notes through the eyes of your evaluation, it may not actually be what I believe he says if I hear the actual quote myself. So you said 3 things. I would urge the room to take it with a grain of salt until you actually listen to the 3. And if you have any interest in actually educating the people about how awful he is, per the things you said, go ahead and put a link to each one of the 3 things he said that you're talking about and let them interpret themselves. They might not agree with you.
This is exactly what I said. Go on Google and find it. Everybody, hold on. Mike is being kissing his ass right now because he probably agrees with this. A horrible human.
Hold on. Nicholas, hold on.
Mike, yeah, I'm going to move him down for that comment. But go ahead, Jay.
Let me do a quick reset, and then we'll go to Jordan, and then Moose and Mike. Community conversations and collaboration. Is there a cultural war in America? I put a new article on top. Charlie Kirk shot live updates, new images, video person of interest in assassination released. So if you want to see who they're looking for, there's a $100,000 reward. That's the guy right there on the Jumbotron. Let me say hello to Heidi, y'all. How you doing, y'all? MG in the house, Liz. Serendipity. Run Snatched. What a great place, great space, guys. Follow Serendipity if you want a good conversation. William, how you doing? Samoa. We got Samoa coming up. Guys, you have a pink ticket, please cash it in. Necro, I have no idea why you have a pink ticket. RB, cash in your ticket. Jessica, cash in your ticket. We have great conversations here almost every day. I'm going to hand it back to Mike, who's running the room. Mike?
And protagonists, please cash in your ticket. I love your shares. I'm going to let the doctor go next because I told him I would, and then it looks like we still need to hear from MOG and then Moose if he ever shows up. Doctor, go ahead.
You're from Solo this time.
Yeah, I see the anonymous folks in the audience, so I'm a little reluctant to even speak, but I'll say this much. I don't think Charlie Kirk was a horrible person, but similar to Mother, when I dug deeper into his dual perspectives on the Jewish community, and I shared this with the Gentile room, I got a lot of pushback, and quite frankly, I think it's because they too were surprised that he said some of the things that he did. Certainly it was tragic. He didn't deserve to be shot, die the way he did at such a young age. Very unfortunate, but I think we have to remember that this is a public figure. Public figures had have a lot of threats on their lives, particularly public servants. He's not a public servant, but I mean he's a political influencer, and he said some really questionable things about Nancy Pelosi's husband and the perpetrator of the crime when the guy assaulted Nancy's husband. So, I mean, you know, he was I don't want to hate on this guy other than say that he was a very controversial figure, and when you're in the public eye, and we're in such a polarized world that he contributed largely to for younger generations of Trump fans, I mean, like, I would never say anyone had anything like this coming, but what I would say that, it's dangerous out there. And it's like, it's not entirely, it's probably not as surprising as, we probably shouldn't be as surprised as people are.
Yeah, that's, Dr. Jordan, that's not the problem. The problem is when you need toleration of speech, when the government's not allowed to impede on free speech, you get things like neo-Nazis marching in Skokie, Illinois, in a town full of Holocaust survivors, which the Supreme Court held up. There's this great movie with Michael Douglas, it's called The American President. One of the lines in this movie is, you need to go stand center stage next to a man who is yelling, his words make your blood boil. Stand center stage next to him and advocate at the top of your lungs what you would spend a lifetime opposing at the top of yours. The point is, people need to be free to express their opinions, or else the metric for how we do this is one's feelings on the matter, not what is important to have an effective government, which is people not getting murdered and assassinated. You are right. He is a public figure. You are right. He does have more criticism than most people. But the problem with him being shot is not just that he got shot and murdered. It's the very basis on which we have this idea of disagreement and the ability to find a way through it is being challenged by that. Now, we don't know the political affiliation of the shooter. We don't know why they did it. The dude could have been a neo-Nazi who didn't like the fact that he liked Israel. Could have been somebody on the left. We don't fucking know. But the point being, the concept, one of the core concepts for our country, much like other republics, is this idea that speech that makes your blood boil, makes you think somebody is evil, is protected. It's the idea. You don't need the protection when you say shit people agree with. You don't need it when you're slightly off kilter. You need it when people think you're batshit crazy and you're saying the most hateful shit you possibly can. That's when you need it.
Well, so hold on. Necro, hold on. We give Jordan a chance to push back. But let me say, when you start shooting and killing people like they did Charlie Kirk yesterday, like he was assassinated, you're really shooting at the fundamental foundation of our country. I believe that wholeheartedly. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, so people who are saying, or people who know that what they say may be received as controversial, choose, I'm not faulting this guy, but they choose to protect themselves with security personnel, right? Like there are, and I'm not saying that someone couldn't circumvent security, but there's so many things that didn't go right here. For example, and this applies to everyone, not just Charlie Kirk, as unfortunate as the loss of his life is. What I want to say is that I'm losing my train of thought. What happens is that you know that sound bites are going to be amplified. You know things are going to be taken out of context. There are politicians who have great success because they've mastered the sound bite, right? So this selectivity is part of our current culture and our political landscape. And if you say one thing that could be slightly taken out of context, I don't want to say the consequences are on you, but they are, quite frankly. And so you've got to be so careful. Now, if it benefits him...
Wait a second, Jordan. You're saying that this violence is normalized in our country?
No. What I'm saying is that you have to make the assumption that what you say could be clipped and taken out of context.
You're arguing for the rule of the mob, which is the exact reason the founders didn't give us a direct democracy. That's not ruled by law. That's not ruled by constitution. That's ruled by whatever airy-fairy thing the entire public thinks.
I mean, what Marshall's giving is hard love at this point, but he's dead fucking serious. I mean, it's factual as hell.
Men in Black had a good saying. A person is smart. People are dumb, flighty, stupid,
animals. They react like that as a group. So if we are to let rights be defined by the mob, then our rights will flip with the flip of a coin. And in what universe do constitutional rights get to change with the flip of a coin? It doesn't work that way.
Marshall, Jordan, hold on a second, because Necro's been trying to jump in for like 15
Yeah, I'm
minutes.
gonna get Necro on it. Yeah, Necro, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to know if my mic's working right now.
Yeah, it's working.
It's not. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, just in general, it's like, I think, Jordan, you're right with the idea that all your words are accountable. But the point is, essentially, is that, freedom of speech is still something that's still protected to protect the minority opinion. That includes the opinions of hateful, racist people. And that is, it's like, yeah, a lot of bad ideas, it gets spread, but it's like, how do you, protect, the good ideas that are also unpopular without also stopping the bad ideas? I mean, it's just not possible. And so, yes, you should be held accountable. There is accountability that you have as a person with a public figure, but still, I mean, your right to say what you say is still protected.
But I'm not talking about public figure in a legal framework. I'm talking about public figure given the implications of what a public figure is today versus what it was when the Constitution was written. So, for example, this guy's success was very much due to the fact that he went to these colleges, amassed huge crowds, and then reinforced and built a huge social media empire and makes about $12 million a year. That's neither here nor there. But the point is, his success is very much contingent on the environment which he works in, which is kind of a novelty even for modern history, right? And so he's speaking, that's probably why he wasn't excited about being, sitting behind a cage or a glass, a protective barrier, because he wants to resonate with the masses, the young people at colleges. So he's in kind of a unique situation. And so if he's willing, it's almost like we're careful and cautious of how we sometimes monitor ourselves on Clubhouse. Many people use pseudonyms, right? Because you're aware of, outside of a legal framework, you're aware of the consequences given the landscape, the social audio landscape. He was a public figure who said some pretty controversial things, even among groups that, were unified, and he was very divisive. And so he didn't deserve any of what came his way, but you can't entirely be surprised. Now, I'm talking outside of a constitutional and legal framework, just from, and I don't have a whole lot of common sense, but the common sense that I do have, I'm applying to this situation where I would be very cautious saying some of those things, knowing that they could be selectively rebranded for the internet, and they could be amplified in spaces like the one that he unfortunately met his demise.
Oh, hold on a second, guys. Guys, hold on a second. Mike, I have to step away. No, I have to step away for 5 minutes. You guys got it? Mike and
Yeah, we got it. Thank you.
I'll be back.
I just want to say one thing to that, Doctor, which is that, again, I mean, it's a little bit of what Marshall was getting at, but these are the cases that test the importance of our constitutional rights the most. And because of that, the risk that he takes, although you might think that it was a bad idea and that it's dangerous and that it doesn't make a lot of sense, one could argue that he's acting sort of like a patriot of the Constitution by pushing the limits of those rights. Regardless of that, he's not the only one that speaks out in a manner that is inflammatory that has a lot of followers. It doesn't justify him being killed. It certainly doesn't. It doesn't really justify him expecting to be killed or shot at. What it does is it provides an example of how little many Americans feel about the importance of their constitutional rights. If they're willing to think that this man doesn't deserve his, then they're certainly willing to give up their own. And I really think that's what he represents. In some ways, whether or not you agree at all with what he says, even if you hate his political takes on things, he is a patriot. At this point, he died a patriot of the First Amendment. And he's not the only one who will. But I'm really tired of hearing he didn't deserve to die, but it's getting tiresome. I'd like to hear he didn't deserve to die and if your only take is he didn't deserve to die and it was dangerous what he was doing because it's inflammatory, then I would fully agree with you. Necro, do you have anything to add to that? A follow-up?
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
In a second, Slippers. I want to give Necro, right after Necro. Necro, do you have anything to say since he was talking to you? And you're next, Slippers. Necro.
Like I do understand like what Jordan I think is trying to get at, which is essentially that there's accountability for public, figures, people who have so much power, but it's still, I mean, it's like, they still have the same rights to, speak whatever's on their mind, basically. And so that needs to be recognized that, the Constitution protects people's rights to express whatever opinion they have that's offensive.
Right, and it's more important than ever, mind you. I've been spending time in rooms with people from London, and I've been hearing about what it's like over there. These people in London, I said earlier in this room, they are unwilling to say what they think about the horrible things that are occurring over there because they're afraid of getting arrested by talking about it in Clubhouse. 5 years ago, the only time I ever heard anybody express that fear was a young girl in Saudi Arabia who got on here and was talking about the lack of women's rights. We're getting it in London now among people that are native English people. So make no mistake, what Charlie Kirk defended is something that America, if we lose it, we will deeply regret it. England can only wish they had it. Right now, they would give anything to have that. And it's too late. They can't have it. We were blessed to have it in the first place. Do not forget that sacrifice, regardless of who he was, what he said that you hated, that sacrifice puts him in a level where he is defending something that you're very lucky to have. We're all very lucky to have it. I don't want that perspective to get lost. So first, go ahead.
I completely agree.
You can. And then it's Mike, because I hadn't heard from him. Go ahead, Slippers.
Yeah, so I completely agree with you 100%. But here is where I have a point of contention. We are discussing, I really wish that the outcry for people to hold a greater sense of empathy was consistent when the comments were made about Trayvon Martin, the comments were made about Michael Brown, the comments were made about Breonna Taylor, the comments were made about George Floyd, the comments were made about countless other black people, okay, that for some reason, the reality of these said black people were more of content as opposed to a recognition to a lot of those families' grieving process and to the overall narrative of their underlying legacy. So I'm not saying that people are right for celebrating. I think that is absolutely disgusting. But in defense of people who remain indifferent, I can understand where a lot of black people are not pushing people out the way and, showing up to the Dollar Tree to buy a candle to go and attend a vigil. And that just simply is the reality. So, I mean, I'm sorry that we all come to an impasse in people not having the ability to see it from that perspective and to be consistent in understanding and respecting people's opinion and their free speech behind even those that are celebrating. We're mourning a person because I am mourning this man as an American that was fallen, over something that was senseless. Do I believe that it was antagonized? Absolutely. And where we disagree. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel like we're being consistent here. Okay? The man was fallen because of what people feel was attack against his free speech. Yet I'm seeing, Scott Pressler and a lot of far-right conservative people that are doxing people on Twitter and other social media spaces because they feel that them as the arbiters of morality have not met a moment. So let's cancel them. This
Hold on.
is the most ridiculous fraud and so disingenuous. It's not even funny.
Sippers, you're escalating here.
I have a question for
Go ahead,
you.
JB. Yeah.
I have a question for you and Nye, and then I'll hand it back over to you.
Sure.
Do you feel that we as Americans are starting to get anger fatigue? Like we're just tired of being angry? We're tired of all the fucking trash we see in our algorithms? Am I mistaken, or is it just me?
Yeah, well, this week this week has done a doozy. I would say generally yes, and I would say this week absolutely yes. Nye, you can respond to that, and then I have something to say.
Well,
Put me in queue, please.
no problem.
Absolutely.
This week was exhausting emotionally, and yesterday I was pretty riled up. First, before I answer, let me just say, when I came in your space yesterday, I was so riled up after this man's death and so sad that I said, I'm radicalized, I hate the left. I didn't, I was angry. I want to publicly state on this platform, I don't feel that way. I don't hate the left. I haven't been radicalized. I was really in my emotions yesterday when I said that, and I want to say today, in hindsight, after I've had a chance to calm down, I didn't mean any of that part. With that said, JB, I'm overall not angry because these politicians, while they're divisive, whether it's the right or the left, and they say things that will get us passionate because as individuals and as voters, we feel a certain way about certain topics, but angry, I don't have anger fatigue because these people don't keep me angry 24/7. I'm just not angry. Because I understand what the play is. The play is to use race and gender to divide us and distract us. And once you understand the play and start paying attention to the play, you become more politically savvy and less angry. You know what the next move is and you prepare. And if you're prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually, you're not angry. You just know how to respond and kind of defend and protect yourself, and you know how to stand on your moral code. So no, I'm not angry and I don't have anger fatigue. What I do have is fatigue over people being played. Americans still don't understand that we're being played and we fall for the okie dokie.
Guys, Jordan, hold on 1 second, because I definitely have to shout out. We have two old school OGs from back in the day in Clubhouse in the room right now. We got Jimmy White, Jay Blanco. Haven't seen this dude in forever. Him and his brother Freddie. We had some of the coolest, funniest spaces on this app. We got John the Bomb, man. I haven't seen John the Bomb in forever. So I just want to say hello to those two. Back to you.
I love Jay Blanco. What's up, Jay Blanco? I haven't seen you in ages. Thanks for stopping by the room.
Nah, the only thing I'll say to what you said is we could all be so lucky as for most people in America to have your emotional intelligence and your intellect in general to understand what you're feeling and to want better for yourself and to provide an example. I'm gonna let MOG make his comment and then I got one thing to say, so let's go ahead, MOG. MOG, you there?
I'm here. Okay. I'm here. Look, I'm a warrior. I'm in a not so great area, so I might go up. But my white people, I love y'all, but I gotta let y'all know something, man. I've seen a lot of things online. About we're white, we're mad, we're angry. We've had enough, right? Okay, right. I got you, my white brother. Now, who are you upset with? Because I'm a little confused here. Now, a white person just killed another white person after the white person said something about gang violence. So it's a white on white crime. So I'm not sure who you're upset with. Do you all are familiar with a child? When a child is like upset and they look around and they look at the other kids, and if a kid is laughing or looking indifferent, they kind of like project onto the other child like, "Why are you laughing at me, or why?" That's kind of what I'm saying. So I need y'all, my white brothers, y'all gotta take accountability for this, man. Y'all got an issue in your community, and I don't hate y'all when I say this, because we got issues in our community. And
MOG, respectfully, have they ID'd the shooter? Do we know that he's white?
Man, you know what, we don't, but he gotta be. He just gotta be. Or
Yeah, based on the pictures
I
we've
mean,
seen,
you can't-
it's likely. But
you can't help
MOG, perhaps you can understand what I don't want to speak for all white people. What I'm angry at is my country. I'm angry at my fellow Americans. That's white and black people. I'm angry and pissed off at my country for putting us all through this. I mean, I'm mad at the media. I'm mad at Twitter for letting teenage kids see somebody get shot in the fucking neck and making it an everyday common occurrence to look at. I'm mad that we have so many killings in 3 days that we're actually not even paying attention to a school shooting that happened during the process, during the time frame. I'm mad at my country. I'm very mad right now at it, and that includes the people in it of all fucking colors. The only thing I want to say to Slippers is he mentioned Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, and I don't know if you mentioned Lord Floyd.
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor. Yeah, George Floyd. What I'll say is this. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me intellectually to say all four of those are the same cases. I think there was a tremendous amount of empathy for Trayvon Martin, and a lot of people didn't like the guy didn't like the fact that the guy got off for that. So that's one example.
Did
Michael
you read
Brown,
Charlie
a good
Kirk's
friend of mine.
about
Michael
Trayvon
Brown,
Martin?
a good friend of mine, is an FBI agent. He was sent to Ferguson, Missouri, to investigate Michael Brown to find charges to give against the cop, because believe it or not, the federal government was looking to prosecute the cop to try to calm down the public. Turns out that there was nothing to prosecute him over. Michael Brown's fingerprints were on the inside of the cop car of the cop's door. He had reached in his car to get his gun from him after robbing a fucking store and refusing to surrender in the middle of a street. So I don't think that's anything close to Trayvon Martin. And what I'm deeply bothered by is you would think that these things are equal. You're talking about how there's no empathy. There shouldn't be empathy for Michael Brown. There should be a tremendous amount of empathy for Trayvon Martin. Just because they all have brown skin doesn't mean they're all the same situation. That's part of the problem. I want to go to...
Wait, Mike, before you go to the next person.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. I think that I don't understand where we became as a country, as a culture, that we demonize the victim. And what I mean is, I don't give and this can be polarizing. People stay on mute, please, until I'm done. I don't give a fuck what George Floyd's history was. He was murdered. Case closed. We all saw the video. But certain people love to come up and say, oh, but he had a criminal past and he did this. Man, I don't give a fuck about that. Gives nobody the right to put their knee on that man's neck and kill him while he's screaming for his mother. Sorry, that's murder, Mike.
I agree with you. I didn't say my take on him. I agree with you on him.
So what about Breonna Taylor? What about Breonna? Breonna Taylor?
Kirk decided to die for the way he acted and the things he said. Then Michael Brown also deserved to die for reaching into a fucking cop car to try to take a gun from a cop. That's ridiculous.
Okay,
Nobody would fucking do that.
So what about Breonna Taylor?
Breonna Taylor did not deserve to die.
Then, so again, I mean, we're talking about.
You said 4 people.
No. I didn't give you 4. I did not give you 4. I gave you 6. So again, at the end of the day, okay, this man has been proven to be demonizing people after their death following circumstances that you don't agree with, that even they should have died in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you're completely wrong. I just don't.
I just want consistency. I understand it's a bitter taste in people's mouths, but I just want consistency.
I do too. And Trayvon Martin is not consistent with the same. With Michael Brown. They're vastly different circumstances. One person definitely deserved to die more than the other person, 1,000%. So I don't think it's consistent either to name 6 people when one of them is Trayvon Martin and the other one another one is Michael Brown. They're just not simply the same issues. Mike, are you up? You've been there a long time. I thank you for your patience. If you have anything to say, I don't know if you do. If not, then Taco, you're next, and then Dope.
What about AC?
Yeah. And then Mother.
Oh, who did I miss?
AC.
Oh, AC. Oh, AC up there. All right, AC, let Mike talk, and then we're going to go to Taco, and then AC.
Yeah, thanks. What about Dope? What happened to
Dope is next. Dope is after AC. AC, keep it short. Thanks.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I've been listening for a while. I had a few points to make. Sorry, bear with me. One, because I was listening from, I think it was Christine, that was talking to the teacher. She made some good points, and I kind of like aligned with her and MOG in the way where Christine was talking about how,
the phones, social media, those kinds of things all playing a role into what's happening today, I think, in forming, the minds of the youth and just people. And then, I align with MOG on, on it, I don't think it's up to any of us to judge for anyone to die. And so I'm a Christian. I know that might be controversial in itself, but for me, it's not up to me to judge anybody for anything they do. Like, so yesterday when this is happening to Charlie Kirk, I'm seeing all the comments about like what you guys are talking about him, him praising other people's deaths. And so this is kind of wild, but I try to take it to the extreme of, okay, Adolf Hitler. Is it up to me that guy dies, for the things he did? No, it's not. What he did was bad, but I'm not going to be the ultimate judge and have him pay for whatever he did, but I'll have an opinion about it for sure, but ultimately what I think boils down to with all of what's happening right now is that I haven't heard much people talk about is mental health. We don't know why this guy killed Charlie Kirk yet, but if it's because he didn't like what he was saying, ultimately that's mental health, that you cannot control emotions enough to just let this man speak to where you feel like you need to kill him. Like I think a lot of the shootings that mass shootings that happen is all mental health. Like no one is addressing these things, that it's mental health. Like I get people want to argue guns, but still at the root of it is mental health, really. Like, and no one is really talking about that yet. The only other thing I could see happening is, this is an op from, say, Israel, that because he was anti-Israel and they send the agent in, which is far-fetched too. But again, I think it really, really boils down to a mental health issue right now. And just also, I want to say that I'm definitely not sickened to the point where I don't like these people that, like the other guy, Mother, was saying that he deserved it, fuck him, and all these kinds of things, like yesterday, I those people. At first, I was, I was kind of sickened by it. Then I stopped and I prayed for those people. I prayed for those people to soften their heart and not have such hard hearts, because that is just gonna continue this cycle. So what's to stop another guy on the street from the guy Mother saying, oh yeah, fuck him, he deserves to die. Someone that had a different opinion from Mother coming and shooting Mother now saying you deserve to die because you said that's why you deserve to die. We're just gonna keep going in this cycle right now, and it's just really dangerous. These comments that people are making, like I'm just hoping and praying that the world can step back and be like, yeah, this guy might say something I don't agree with, and they might do some bad things, but at the end of the day, he's got to pay it one way or another, and I'm not going to be the one to do it. Like, it's going to get decided one way or another.
Hey, Mike, and thank you for your patience, and I'll let you continue, but let me say this. They say that some of the evidence they've already gathered on the ammunition was pro-trans rhetoric. If it turns out that this guy is some kind of pro-trans lunatic, that's going to set this country on fire. There's going to be even more division. But please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, and I heard those things too, but again, that still boils down to what I said, right? Mental health, correct? Like, I'm not gonna bash any trans people or anything like that. Like, again.
So at what point are you gonna start holding young, disgruntled white men accountable for blowing their classmates away in elementary schools? At what point are you gonna start doing that? Because again, that may be part of the frustration that a lot of people have with the narrative and the rhetoric. People wanting to demonize a certain group of people that they don't like, okay, and making them the problem that America should be paying attention to, when statistically the good majority of mass shooters in America, okay, in K through 12 education are white, disgruntled young men.
School shooters are black, though. They don't support that shit.
Hey, Slippers, we got a couple people in line, so I appreciate it, but I need to keep moving through the queue here. And Mike, I hear your passion, and I feel like it's pretty heartfelt, to be honest with you.
Wait, who just said
can really tell.
shooters are black?
Can I address that? What Slippers said?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, of course.
Is just again.
Yeah,
what
go
I
ahead.
said, like, I'm not the one to hold them accountable. I would like to see the root of it addressed. That's what I'm talking about right now. We need to catch that before it happens. Like if it's a disgruntled white shooter, it's a disgruntled black shooter, disgruntled trans shooter. I don't care what it is. At the root of that issue, every time is going to be a mental health problem.
Now it's going to be a spiritual problem, but y'all really don't want to talk about that right there.
I agree, MOG, but not everyone's going to go on. I saw in the chat, Necro was, he's not a believer, and that's fine. I'm not going to press anybody to believe any type of religion And it doesn't take that to know that this is a mental health issue, you know? So
Yeah, and
that's
JB
what I
spoke
think
to
that we
mental
need to
health
get
as well, and social media's influence on hurting it.
Right, Mike, and that's what I'm saying. When are they going to address the mental health crisis amongst young, disgruntled white men in America?
It's a younger slippers, young disgruntled men in America and women and kids, black, white, all the fucking.
You just had our president trying to influence people to create legislation to take guns.
Stop making it a racial fucking issue, Taco. Go ahead.
You know, what's really sad is he's not even that extreme. Charlie is pretty much just normal. And the left used to be the intellectual side, the academic side, the critical thinking side, and they've lost all of that. And anytime you bring up some of these topics, they lose all the nuance. But most of the time when they have their fucking argument, they have to incorporate all the fucking nuance. You know? Like, I have to be considered by people conservative because I don't agree with transgender shit. I don't think that's an extreme idea that I'm having. I think what they have is fucking extreme. Like, I'm not conservative because I think a 9-month abortion's a little fucking late. But your average fucking Democrat uses peer pressure and speaks out loud about this stuff in front of other people and then ostracizes people. They've turned into fucking straight up whack jobs. And everybody's fucking sitting around acting like it's not totally true, or some of them have been brainwashed to think that that's what's normal. It's fucking 9 months in. People don't even believe that that was normal, that was going on in 7+ states. They'll fucking scream over it. It's fucking weird.
Goddamn, Taco, you dropped a bomb there. That's really something we haven't heard said in quite a while, actually, in all these issues, all these rooms I've been in. Nobody's said it that clearly. The idea that he's not really that extreme by standards that were 10 years ago, for instance.
It's getting annoying because they're like, oh no, you're conservative, oh, you're anti-women, oh, you're transphobic, you know? People know what affirmative action is because they're floating around Charlie's statement about saying something about a black pilot. Now all of a sudden everyone's confused about affirmative action. Now all of a sudden the scope of that statement is only limited to a racial statement. Now all of a sudden they forgot about fucking affirmative action. That's what most normal people think when they hear about that program and how it fucking works. Because that is a very quick logical conclusion to it. And anytime you say something about, you know, oh, was that, well, if it's, you know, if it's a affirmative action thing, if it's a DEI thing, well, it sounds like they kind of just shoehorned you in there over the best candidate. And if you acknowledge that, they're like, oh, you're fucking racist. Oh, no, I'm fucking normal. You're like retarded and an asshole, honestly, because that's what it's become.
I appreciate the take. Thank you, Dope. Go ahead. Enjoyed that one. Are you there, Dope?
My turn?
Yeah, and then Mother.
Well, Dope, 1 second. Mike, I have to say that Dope is one of my favorite speakers on this app.
Me too.
I'm glad he's here.
Me too. I've been spending quite a bit of time in rooms with him lately, and I really enjoy him.
Oh, wow. Oh, shucks, guys. Thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm surprised that we're in a room with some people that I've seen in rooms before, and I'm hearing arguments from people I would assume are less smart. And I don't think for people that are, when it comes to Charlie Kirk specifically, if you want to say like you have a right to be indifferent due to the fact that he was murdered, sure. I mean, there's lots of murders and lots of tragedies that people are indifferent to. So that's its own thing. But apparently in the chat, I'm hearing that some people were saying that he deserved to die, which is fucking crazy. And what did Charlie Kirk do where he would deserve to die, or someone rejoice in his death? Genuinely, I think about it, he's just a person that spoke mainstream conservative thoughts into the public and was the advocate for that. He wasn't like a far right dude by most standards of
pretty much anyone would agree on the political spectrum. His furthest right opinion was that a girl should aim to get married outside of high school. Like, that's the furthest right you could think of this fucker. He wasn't a fucking Nazi. He had controversial comments, but compared to literally dozens of people in the mainstream media, like fucking Mehdi Hassan, who are given platforms just as loud, he was not that extreme. So rejoicing in his murder just shows that some people will rejoice in the murder of anybody they see as opposite to them politically. And that's a bad sign for our society. If you think of it this way, like, we're on Clubhouse. This is an app where people talk out their ass constantly, give their own opinions. According to the logic of some of the people I've seen, some people on this stage they deserve to die, basically, for their own opinions. And I'm not saying everybody that was opposed to Charlie Kirk believes that, but some people believe that you deserve to die because of your opinions. Regardless of whether or not you've done something to harm someone, you deserve to die. Or you being killed is no big deal, and, they might be glad at it. So keep that in mind when you hear these people talk.
That's a good point. There's certainly people in here that are as extreme or even much more extreme than Charlie, and nobody's calling for their fucking death.
That's what I'm saying. There might be, hold on, MOG, hold on 1 second. I pinned a new article to the top. New video shows Charlie Kirk assassins daring to escape after killing a conservative activist. This dude jumped off the building, Mike. He jumped off the fucking building.
Of course he did. I mean, come on, but Mike, you were in the military. That was some paramilitary shit. Even the way that he was running and like his form of running. Okay, like
I didn't see that part, but I will say that a 200-yard shot with a 30-06 does not require a fucking sniper to be effective. He aimed for the chest, and he technically missed the center chest, and he got a lucky shot because it bounced off the freaking body armor.
So you don't think
it doesn't mean he's not. You do not have to be a sniper to take that shot whatsoever. So you can be a deer hunter at the age of 16 and do that all day long.
So you don't think that
especially with a scope,
a shorter timeline in disassembling a weapon like that to be able to run? Did they mention that there was a weapon left behind?
There was nothing disassembled. The weapon was left behind with the round in it. It's a bolt action, so unless you eject the round, it stays in there. So he literally fired it, probably threw it somewhere or carried it with him, jumped off, and then threw it somewhere. That's it. There's nothing paramilitary about it. You're gonna find out he's a fucking disgruntled college age
Let me ask you a question.
Is my guess.
You just said something I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
The bullet hit off his armor?
So the bullet it ricocheted off the top edge of his armor and hit him in the neck. The reason the neck was hit the way it was is because he actually got his armor hit. And in the video you can see it because his chest jolts, like it bounces up before it goes to the next spot where he's actually hit. So, they said it early on, that's what happened, and in the video it's very clear that is what happened. It was a lucky shot is what I'm saying. It was a center mass shot attempted. Not difficult at all from 200 yards with a 30-06 and a scope at all. And he got lucky. It wouldn't even have killed him if it would have actually been on target. It would have hit his body armor, but it bounced off the edge of the body armor, so he got a lucky shot.
So let's ask you a question. And Nye, I want to hear your opinion on this as, a journalist. Looking at what Mike just said, the fact that this man was able to jump off a building, the whole entire campus was completely encompassed by people that were fleeing exits. Nobody saw anybody carrying anything that looked like it was a weapon. I mean,
They threw it in the bushes. They found it in the bushes on his escape route.
So that was my question. Did they find a weapon?
Yeah, they did. They found the weapon. It had a round in it, and the round had transgender something written on it about transgender issues on the actual casing. The casing they had because it was still in the bolt. So yeah, they found the rifle. The rifle was thrown in the bushes. It was nearby on the grounds itself. They found on the grounds. And like I said, it had the round. That was all released today. The jump, he's just young. If he was 60, he probably would have broke his fucking knee or something. But since he's a teenager, he could probably jump 20 feet and be okay, especially with enough adrenaline. So, nothing is out of... all I'm saying is nothing is extraordinary in what occurred. aside from the fact that he was lucky enough to get away, there is a video of him running through a parking lot on his escape route. And there's another video that was obviously posted of him where so cameras caught him. So it wasn't a clean getaway 100%. And, you know, with all the chaos, it's not surprising that he could sneak out of there, you know, in a hurry. And the jump is just, I'm sure it's just adrenaline and a 20-foot fucking fall. And who knows if he landed in bushes or grass or whatever, you know. But I don't want to make it, the one thing I want to always make clear in this is that it doesn't require a fucking sniper to hit a center body mass from 200 yards with a 30-06 in the scope. It's really, really easy. Every hunter who's 16 years old can do it.
Hey, Mike.
That's all I really want.
Mike and I gotta get going. I gotta walk my dog.
Okay.
Puppy.
Yeah.
You guys want to keep it open?
We'll keep it open for a while. I think if you're okay, Nye. Maybe I'll bring up one other mod. We'll figure out who.
Yeah, Serendipity wants to come up with MG.
Yeah, if she comes up, that'd be great if she's willing to.
All right, I'll catch you guys later.
All right, Mother, you're up, man.
All right, so first of all, right, I'm gonna back up real quick here and just was listening to this conversation for the last 15 or 20 minutes where we have this constant game of, you know, he wasn't that bad, he didn't say that controversial statements. This is the definition of weaponized incompetence. You people know that this man has said horrendous things about black people, that has said horrendous things about people with LGBTQ being predators, that has said all types of horrendous shit about inciting violence.
He's not going to provide examples because he didn't last time.
Don't get mad, Mike.
Hey, guys, stop it.
This is
Stop it. Let him finish.
Because you guys have a position that you already are landed on, and you want people to go through the effort of spoon-feeding you information you could just Google yourself, because there are years of him doing this type of content, and then you play, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad because it doesn't affect your community, or you don't care about it. But threatening but doing all sorts of saying all sorts of horrendous shits to other people is fine, right? So if we're gonna play this game, I just found it to be a little bit ridiculous. And also, for those Christians on the stage who think that they are better than other Christians, you need to go back to church and check yourself, because you are full of arrogance and hubris.
I think you should, for the sake of conversation, chew just a few things.
You can Google.
I just want to say
This is getting to be annoying.
Hey guys, mute.
really quick.
Nye wants to say
Not your
something.
favorite.
Taco, Nicholas, mute up. Go ahead, Nye.
Mute up, Nye.
This is not directed towards anyone in the room or anyone on the stage, but Mother's submission just reminded me of something that I pointed out earlier in the room. I've heard black people, possibly conservative blacks, mention this as well. So Charlie Kirk, everybody's been pointing out, especially black folks, that Charlie Kirk has said some disparaging things over the years about black folks, many of which I've heard. But you want to know what's interesting? On this very app, I've heard black people say worse things about black people. And you know what we never hear? We never hear anybody calling for their death and murder. We never hear anybody calling for them to be killed. I've heard black people, black men and women say horrendous things about black women, about their bodies, their hair, their skin complexion, and heaven forbid she be a single mom. She's not even worthy of love and respect. Hell, she's not even worthy of a coffee date. I've heard black women host a room on here saying, if you're pregnant with a black boy, abort him. If you're pregnant with a son, a black son, abort him before he grows up to become a criminal. And guess what? Never heard anybody say they deserve to be killed. And I hate to be the asshole that brings up black on black crime, but let's just talk about black on black crime. We never hear anybody say, let's go round up the blacks, the black men, the black criminals, and kill them and hang them, because they're killing up all the good black men in the community. We don't get outraged about black people disparaging and saying demonic things about their own people on it. Hell, Charlie Kirk's death has given the Clubhouse algorithm a break from all the anti-black rooms that go on 24/7 on this app hosted by black folks. And we never hear anybody say, them niggas deserve to be killed because of what they said about black folks.
Why?
But all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk said something about DEI and black women this, and it's, oh well, he deserved it.
Nine.
So
nine.
what about
Hold on. So
the Puerto Rican?
Nicholas.
Like this whataboutism is ridiculous. We're talking about term.
Nicholas.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Hello, I want to correct some misinformation, Nye, respectfully. There have been rooms, literally, since this room has been open, saying that African Americans in the title, okay, are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, okay? There has literally been rooms on this app since the beginning of this one with people discussing that. So, I mean, it's crazy to me just how people feel like, I don't know, Nye. We can agree to disagree. We're at an impasse with this one. You know,
Slippers, wait,
I
don't
can
understand your point. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
actually,
I'm
I know
confused.
black folks
She knows
have been
that.
hosting these rooms.
She
Tariq
just spoke to
Nasheed,
that.
who I love, hold on. Tariq Nasheed hosted a Twitter space last night, and I love Tariq Nasheed. Had a pleasure to interview.
No, what I'm saying is that they're white people.
Last night saying, should black people have empathy for Charlie Kirk? And he had 6,000 people in that space, and every black person that he gave the microphone to said, no, we shouldn't have empathy because he said this, that, and the third about black folks. So I understand what you're saying. I guess I just don't understand.
I think he meant to say there's white people hosting rooms. He said black people, but I think he meant white people.
Yes, and what my frustration is from the standpoint
I didn't.
So what my opinion is from the standpoint of consistency is it's very frustrating that people look at this death in the terms of he was killed because people demonize him, but at the same time, the ilk that is indifferent or otherwise celebrating people are demonizing. So it's just very strange to me how this is happening the way that it is. I mean, don't you find that odd?
Well, okay, Slippers, hold on. And I don't mean to act like a slow slut, but just break it down to me like I'm five. What part are you asking me do I find odd? Just tell me really quick.
So people on the conservative ilk, and I did mention Scott Pressler. Scott Pressler is doxing people right now on Twitter, and nobody's even talking about that. A person who, again, convinced Pennsylvania handed Donald Trump the presidency, okay, is now doxing people on social media just for the simple fact that they are expressing their right to free speech to express their sentiments and what they're feeling as Americans following the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, do I agree with what these people are saying? No. I feel like what a lot of people are saying in the sense of glorifying his death is morally repugnant, okay? However, I'm not going to ignore the fact that the same ilk asking for free speech is now calling for people to be canceled on one of the biggest social media platforms on the planet.
No, I agree with you. I agree. Yes, I agree. 100%. Very strange, very hypocritical. But what's also strange is when we have non-black people coming into these spaces across social media saying Charlie Kirk this because what he said about blacks. And any given day, they don't give a fuck about what people are saying about blacks. They certainly don't give a damn about what black people say about blacks. But because Charlie Kirk said something about blacks, now all of a sudden they're on their high horse. Oh, well, he said something about black people, so you colored folks should be upset. No, bitch. Where were you in the black rooms when they were putting down black people and disparaging black women and putting down black men across social media? And I'm saying this in general, not directed at anybody. It's the hypocrisy and the fake outrage.
Right, and that's where people
they don't give a damn about black people on any other day, and now all of a sudden they do because Charlie Kirk said something.
So again, wait, hold on, Taco. So again, people are falling for the bait. You just said yourself, you had a bunch of non-black people that ran up into a room full of black people and were browbeating black people for not needing some sense of a moment. You see what I'm saying? People, like, this shit is so fucking opportunistic, it's ridiculous. Like, this has probably been one of the biggest frauds that I've seen on social media since I've been on this damn app since 2020, okay? Like, this is disgusting.
I agree with you on that point. I agree.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's funny that you
thank
brought
you.
up.
I want to get some other voices in here. I want to let Lord and Joe say something. Taco, if you have something quick to say, go ahead. I know you can't.
Yeah, I think part of this topic seems to be part of this idea that it seems to be that there's a thing going on in the African American community where it appears that they hate other races and other people more than they're given credit for. And that's why they're letting, in this app, at least obviously with your experience, they let the other black people slide with whatever they say, but if someone else who's not black says it, they want to fucking get them. And people are starting to notice this because they're seeing it all throughout social media. There's fucking studies out there that show the in-group preference and out-group bias of black people. It's for all races. It's not just them in that study. But it appears that black people are very racist. And people are starting to realize it.
But why are we the target?
It's racist.
Charlie Kirk spent the majority of his recent time bow bashing freaking Latinos. Okay, why don't you do a consensus of what the Latino community feels following this tragedy? Why are black people always the fucking excuse?
Exactly.
Stop it.
They're not the excuse right now.
Well,
these are your white brethren that can't stop killing political figures. That's
I mean,
so
why?
It sounds like big outrage.
Why is Charlie Kirk's
We're talking
death
about
being
big outrage. It sounds
seen
like
as
big
a
outrage to conservatives.
Why is Charlie Kirk's death being seen as a black and white issue?
Exactly.
It's not.
Why
it's not a black and white issue.
It's not.
It's like one of the few things he talked. He talked about a lot of things. He talked a little bit about that and a lot about a lot of other stuff.
Mike,
And it still ends up being a black and white fucking issue because this is Clubhouse and it's how it works. Listen,
Mike,
I want to let Joe go now.
Mike, they're making it a black or white issue to justify his death. That's why.
I know. Of course they are. Fucking course they are. It's a given. That's a rhetorical
And that's why I brought up the Latinos, because again, he spent more time talking about immigration, and it's bullshit. Why are black people always the low-hanging fruit? And this is why I'm really pissed off at a lot of people in the Republican Party that I belong to. Okay, it really tone down the fucking rhetoric. Tone down the rhetoric. Why does it always have to come to this polarizing bullshit? You had a white man that literally blew the head off of a white conservative pundit. Okay, what the hell does that have to do with black people? Then you have a bunch of white people that come into a black space, one of the biggest spaces that have been on this app. And I know you got pissed off at my comments, okay? But at the end of the fucking day, I am tired of people sitting there on my side of the aisle antagonizing this shit to the point where it's like, well, I don't want to sit next to you or stand next to you without a bulletproof helmet because you're soaking division in a way that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Slippers. You said it was a white-on-white violence. You're right. And guess who doesn't ever talk about black people in relative to this entire occurrence? It's white people. White people are not talking about black people when they talk about what happened to Charlie Kirk. Black people are talking about him, and they're also talking about how he deserved it. But white people are not talking about black people in this conversation.
And when I'm in this conversation, what I'm trying to explain to you is hold on, I don't need any help. What I'm trying to explain to you is, again, this conversation holds a completely different sentiment than the largest social media channel on the planet, okay? People are taking sound bites and opinions of people basically creating a sense of indifference, a sense of whatever it is that they feel in this moment, and are trying to demonize black people. Okay, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you.
I was on Twitter today, right, flipping through of comments, right? Good comment, bad comment. Good comment, bad comment. Well, one person was supporter, one person hated him, said he deserved it. I didn't see a lot of black people in all of it. And this is just a random Twitter feed under death of Charlie Kirk. What I saw was a lot of freaking far left libs with colored hair and fucking facial piercings laughing and celebrating his death, mostly fat, ugly white chicks.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So I did not see a lot of black people on the Twitter feeds. It was a lot of stupid fucking libtards celebrating him, and almost all of them were fat, ugly white chicks with facial piercings and colored hair.
And Jarl brought up a good point in the chat, Mike, really quickly. The bots. Okay, this is a coordinated agenda.
Yes.
When things like this happen, okay, there are media companies, okay, and billion-dollar investment groups that literally pour millions onto social media, change people's algorithm, okay, and insert this into a narrative to insert it, sit back, and watch the chaos, okay? This is why I said what I said from the beginning of this, Mike. People need to tone down the fucking rhetoric. Because when the rhetoric is toned down, it creates a sense of complacentness, okay? A complacentness where we, as a consumers of a lot of these social media channels, have authority and autonomy to be able to decide what type of content we want to ingest. If we don't take the bait, then we're not given the bag of garbage that they have in the return of bringing in the fishing line.
Very smart. Easier said than done, but fucking very smart.
With all due respect, sorry, Mike.
That's okay. Go ahead, Dope, and then I want Lord and Joe. But go ahead.
Yeah, with all due respect, like, I get the point of toning down rhetoric, right? But, like, even rhetoric can be toned down in many ways. And if you're going to say we need to tone down rhetoric, which I agree with, acting flippant or dismissive of a politically motivated assassination, one of the most significant assassinations that have happened in the last 25 years, and basically saying, you know what, you get what you give, that's not toning down the rhetoric at all.
Okay.
So
Dope. I have not been a Charlie fanboy for a very, very, very long time. Okay. A very long time. Not even, you cannot tell me one part of me on this app where I've ever supported anything that Charlie Kirk has done, anything that Turning Point USA has done. I have carefully given examples as to why I feel the way that I do in supporting Donald Trump, having nothing to do with that specific ilk. Like another person said, they embody some sentiments akin to Nick Fuentes. So for me, in my personal identity as an American, conservative, Republican or not, okay, it's not consistent with what represents me. So again, the same type of warning that people are doing on the conservative side or the Republican side of this app is not the same type of reality of what I experience and what I have supported up until you guys knowing me on this app. So, I mean, what are we doing?
But you're not toning down the rhetoric. That's my point.
I have consistently said with another person that you guys continue to bash, Marshall, in saying that the rhetoric and the type of delivery
Nobody bashes Marshall.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying you, Mike. But again, Marshall has been bashed in a lot of places that Dope and I have shared spaces with of looking of looking at a specific pathway towards accomplishing what people overall want to accomplish in the bigger picture, and specifically economically, okay? This whole Turning Point America, Christian nationalist bullshit, okay? And if people really paid attention to who I am on this app, I'm a Catholic, okay? So at the end of the day, a lot of this undertone of this evangelical Westboro Baptist bullshit, I've never gone on board with that.
Right.
So let's stop it.
Okay, well, I don't want to make it about you, Slippers, and Dope. If you think he's not toning down the rhetoric, it's okay. We don't need to center him.
Yeah, I'm not trying to target Slippers. I'm not trying to target Slippers.
I know you're not. But he's feeling.
Well, but when Nicholas, I just want to delineate the statements really quickly, Mike. In what I'm saying as far as people being browbeat for being indifferent. I didn't say that I was indifferent. I said that this actually affected me in a way to where I looked at this and, I recognize the implication that it has behind this man's young family and the future trajectory of the Republican Party. What I am acknowledging...
And American fucking civil liberties in general.
So what I'm also acknowledging is the fact that there are people, okay, that are sitting on our side of the aisle that quite frankly are running their mouths too much in just creating a bunch of chaos.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. I'm sorry I disappointed you, Dope, but I am who I am, and I've consistently been on who I am on this app.
Flippers, you made a good point about not fitting into the algorithm. We get what we deserve. If we stop paying attention to it, they'll switch it around.
Exactly.
That's why I'm seeing all the fat, ugly white girls with colored hair. It's algorithm bullshit.
And you have an option to actually go into the post, the 3 little dots, and actually select not interested.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't
I
want
like
to see
that
this
suggestion.
anymore.
I think
I do that every.
Great. I appreciate that. That's actually really good feedback. Lord, Lord's up. Go ahead. Maybe you tuned out, Lord. All right, Joe.
No,
Lord.
My apologies. Joe can go ahead.
Okay.
Just give me.
Yeah, sure. We'll come back to you. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that the people that are post-demise of Charlie Kirk in a very awful and horrid way transcends race. I don't think you pin the pejoratives that are being spewed about Charlie Kirk on any one particular race, and certainly Clubhouse is not indicative of the rest of society. That's my view on it.
The perspective we all need to remember, for God's sake. Lord, do you want to go up? You want to go next?
Yeah. So I definitely agree to some extent with Joe, but I'll take mine a little bit further to the extent that Clubhouse is a microcosm of the rest of the real world to some extent. These social media apps, and and for Clubhouse, it goes a little bit further to the extent we can hear each other's voices, right? So we can hear the sincerity and the depth of whatever it is that we believe. Very similar to Charlie Kirk, So and for me, yeah, like when people are bringing up, this notion that might be racist, to me, it's nonsensical to the extent that I've been following the young man for quite some time. Actually, not even the young man, the young gentleman. To the extent we're the same age. He's 93, I'm 92. So and he didn't go to college. I didn't go to college. I mean, we went to a little bit of college, so to speak. So there's very similar attributes relating to how he grew up and how I grew up, what he's achieved, what I've achieved, et cetera, et cetera. So when people start bringing up, these notions of trying to divide using, skin tone, to me it's nonsensical, right? Because I've watched and listened to him, there's times he's lost debates. In particular scenarios, but at the end of the day, right, there's aspects of a family household which benefits America as a whole, whether you're black or white, the family values, the Constitution, knowing how the hell your fucking government is being ran and controlled. You have to know the Constitution and the power and the value of the Amendment. Simple aspects like that. So at the end of the day, like even for me, I'm actually very saddened. To the extent that even amongst people that look like me, which is quote unquote black, right? Like y'all are not seeing the value, because in the times that he's spoken on black issues, one that sticks out is how he presented the fact that if black people want to move forward, he provided there was a problem, question, and then he provided the solution. Keep the fathers in the household. Stop relying on these, government subsidized welfare. Keep your fathers in the household and see how that's going to work for you. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds like some controversial shit, Lord. I think someone ought to shoot him for that.
Oh, man. Bro. I mean, it might be controversial to the extent that it's taking power away from the government and putting it back in your families, which is how things.
I can't get to the bell fast enough.
So, yeah. but yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, man. Rest in peace to my brother. I'm just gonna say that, man. That was somebody who's my brother. My brother was born in '94. Like I said, I was born in '92. He was '93. It was the same. We're the same age. He worked towards, creating a discourse among a plethora. You know, if you even just look at the shorts, every time he goes to these universities, it's multiple ethnicities of people coming to question one way or another. It's not just one, right? And then his tent is prove me wrong. You know, he's like, yo, just prove me wrong. I'm not out here trying to whatever. Just prove me wrong about what the hell I'm saying, and then we can move forward. And that is I'd say one of the principles that makes America great. You know what I'm saying? To the extent that we're supposed to be able to share our ideas and our notions and our beliefs, knowing that we have a Republican government. But hey, maybe it's just me, and I'm missing something, right? Because for some reason, everything that's being thrown at the rhetoric of this man is race based. They're trying to pitch you against the principles of a young white man who was a family man, who was a Christian to some extent. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was attempting to unify, you know, one group of the United States of America, and then they want you to focus on race. Race has always been the way to keep America divided, particularly after the 1960s. You know what I'm saying? Particularly after integration, right? They've always tried to use this race joint to like keep people divided, because that you ain't gonna get shit done. You're not gonna get shit done as long as you're divided one way or another. The only way you have to unify is Americans. America is the potpourri of multiple cultures. You know what I'm saying? As much as, you know, we can say the people from West Eurasia, the Europeans, right, they have, you know, left their mark in a particular way. We live in a time and age today, right? Like Charlie Kirk is global. Everybody is seeing that shit right now, bro.
Lord, I thank you for that share. It was, I enjoyed it, and it was worth the wait. I appreciate that. HG, or XG, go ahead, and then Michaela.
Yeah, you can pass it to her pretty fast. I mean, I'm not gonna say much because every time I do say something, I'm evil, heartless, horrible.
Not you. We love you, man. Jay and I love you. We're big fans of you. Go for it. You don't want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll keep it to myself for now. I don't want to start the fire.
Fair enough. Michaela, I appreciate that you know the difference. Michaela, go ahead.
Joined, so I'm not sure what.
Sure. I'll give a recap for the room. We're talking about, we started with, this is a cultural war in America. We talked a little bit about, for a while we were talking a little about Kamala Harris and in recent comments about how it was a mistake to let Joe Biden make his own decision to run, and laughing about how she took absolutely no accountability for that decision. She acted like everybody else did it, and it was a bad mistake, and that she knew the difference. And then we got to talk about Charlie Kirk, but to be honest with you, Charlie Kirk is obviously on everybody's mind. We all saw a pint of blood flow out of his fucking neck, much to the chagrin of children everywhere. So it's hard to get out of our minds. So that's why we keep coming back to him.
I can't get him out of my mind either. I'm pretty brokenhearted about that. But you know, when I'm trying to think, my son feels the opposite. He's bought into the whole, I don't know, the whole anti-Israel thing and all that, and sort of really skeptical. I do think there's a culture war in this country. And now, when I was a Democrat many years ago, when Reagan was shot, it didn't bother me. I didn't feel so horrible. I didn't feel sad, you know. So I know how it is to be on the other side and just not care when your opponent's been hurt or killed. When the guys on the other side of the political argument. I don't know how are people here, are there liberals here or progressives that really don't feel so bad that Charlie was killed?
Well,
no, that sounds like empathy, though. You know, like what you just described sounds like a little bit of empathy based on experience.
What sounds like empathy?
What you just described, that after when Reagan was shot, you know, you saw whatever you saw, and you were where you were, and today you're seeing what you're seeing, and you know you're able to, one way or another, draw a parallel.
Yeah, I can sort of empathize. Yeah,
the empathy from where I have
yeah, with the, huh? What?
The empathy from
Oh, go ahead.
The empathy from where it comes from is more so, I have empathy for the kids. They didn't choose him as their dad. They didn't choose to watch their dad literally get shot in front of them, right? So I have tons of empathy for the kids because they absolutely should have never seen that shit at all. So I feel terrible for them, right? But Kirk himself, like, tough. He shouldn't have gone out like that, but tough.
Yeah.
Michaela, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, if you're complete, I mean, it's nice to have a little bit of wisdom on the app with somebody that's not in their 20s who can actually compare this to something that happened in the past. You know, that maybe there's a lesson to be learned there. That history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it rhymes. And for many people, we all know what it was like to be 23 and think we fucking knew everything. Then we were 50 and we know how fucking stupid we were when we were 23. Those of you that are 23, you'll figure it the fuck out. Just give it a couple decades. Shade, go ahead.
I just think that so here's the thing. Like, we all know that there are whack jobs on every side of the political spectrum, right? All types of beliefs, and I'm just saying, as it pertains to how people feel and how people take in the rhetoric you espouse and the reaction you get from it, like, you don't get to dictate how some people feel. So when, you know, I'm just saying, like, you, and here's the thing too, and I think, you know, as men, especially when you have a family, you know, I think one of the main objectives, right, is to have a lifestyle that kind of keeps you able to protect that. You know what I'm saying? And again, look, much to him to saying what he says, but he got a lot of courage for that. But at the same time, he's let's be very clear, like, he said some very, very divisive shit. Like,
again, putting in perspective, he said divisive shit, but the shit he said was really not that divisive by regular standards. We talked about this. Like, it is only divisive by 2025 inflamed rhetoric standards. It's not divisive. He literally questioned DEI, for God's sake. Like, so fucking what? You think that we don't question it every fucking time?
That's not all he said, though.
No, it's not all he said. But what I'm saying is the things he said were not very that bad. I mean, literally, guys, listen. If this is the worst things you're gonna fucking hear out of somebody's mouth is any of the shit that Charlie ever said, okay? Then please, you are so goddamn sensitive. When we call you fucking snowflakes on the left, you fucking deserve it. Because that is ridiculous. Like, go put on your fucking helmets and reach down and grab a hold of your fucking nutsack and get some goddamn balls. Because it's not that bad. If you can't hear fucking words without feeling like they're hurting you, if words are violence toward you because you can't tolerate it, then go find a way to fucking deal with it on your own. But don't kill the people that have fucking opinions different than yourselves. This guy, anybody who gives their life for a First Amendment right ends up being a martyr by default, okay? Because that right is something that we're extremely lucky to have. I don't give a fuck what he was saying. That right exists for the people that do say things that we don't like. That's exactly why it exists. It doesn't exist for the people that tell us the shit we already want to hear. Just remember that. And he's not that goddamn extreme, for fuck's sake. The world had Hitlers in it, okay? Just fucking seriously.
But see,
God damn it.
Okay,
I feel like you guys are so fucking young you don't know any different. It's not your fault. It's just crazy.
For that.
If this is the worst fucking thing you heard in your 20 since you're 20,
this doesn't.
got it.
Hey, wait. So Mike, don't do that. We had the same childhood under Ronald Reagan, right?
No, we don't have the same childhood. I was born. I graduated high school in '92. This fucking guy just said he was born in '92, and he's not. And he's not the youngest one here.
I was born.
No, it's not the same fucking thing, guys.
I never said that.
It's not the same fucking thing. I was fucking girls in Japan when he was shit in his diapers.
Mike. I'm just trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be funny.
What the man is saying.
Just trying to be funny. Like, chill out. Lower your weapons.
No. I'm not mad at you. I'm really not. I'm just kidding. I'm getting feisty. But in a fun way. I'm not really.
Quick thing here.
Okay.
I think part of the problem.
Taco. Whoa! I didn't finish. Thank you.
We need to do an exercise with you.
Yes. So here's the thing with it, right? So again, like I said before, we have nut jobs on every side. And some people, when you say shit, they may just go back and forth with you in the comment sections. And some people gonna really take it to you, And that's
People gonna pull up.
What it is.
Right. Like, people have the freedom of speech, but at the same time, while people don't have the freedom of response, people have the ability of response. And I don't think that people pay attention to that shit enough.
That's a risk he took, and he paid the price. Like,
exactly.
I mean, there are some people that are willing to take that risk. There are other people that avoid that risk at all costs. The fucking true patriots aren't the ones that run away afraid. They're the ones that fucking stand in the face of danger, for God's sake. Fucking in World War II, not that goddamn long ago, I understand that even millennials don't have grandparents that fucking did this, so you're pretty far removed from it. But my generation has grandpas that did this, okay? They ran toward bullets on purpose for their country, okay? And they didn't come out of it saying, oh, we made a big mistake, woe is us. They came back of it proud. They were coined the greatest fucking generation for a reason. Like, it's not that long ago, guys. 100 years ago at this point. But I understand shit moves fast now. Shit's changing quicker and quicker as we go. I'm sorry that the shit Charlie Kirk says is the worst thing you've ever heard as a 20-year-old. I'm sorry. Okay, but you're gonna have to fucking get some balls and realize it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Well, the interesting thing too,
he doesn't deserve to die for it.
So here's the funny thing though, he was only 31. So I'm sorry, that's relatively young to me as well.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is.
So again, it's interesting, right? Because you talk about Americans shouldn't care. We should just be. Look, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, here's also the reality. He makes it very, very poignant to say black people, black on black crime. He has no problem specifying that and making it very loud and clear,
Yeah, but you all act like he uses a fucking N-word all the time. He doesn't. He literally talks about black people in terms of DEI initiatives. He talks about DEI initiatives, and then he uses black people as an example. He doesn't talk about black people out of context with political issues that he's discussing.
I never heard him talk about fentanyl.
He talks about black people in context with gun crime. He talks about black people in context with DEI. He doesn't just talk about black people for black people's sake.
That was a mistake. That was an anti-white weapon.
Again, and the shit he says about black people ain't that fucking bad. There's people on Clubhouse that are throwing the N-word around. You Pepe, and you're all gathering in fucking rooms to honor him, for fuck's sake. He's calling you the N-word monkeys, and you fucking honor him.
And what
the fuck, dude? What the fuck? Pepe's not taking any bullets, and he shouldn't take a bullet. But you also shouldn't sit in the fucking room and praise him, for fuck's sake, for directly putting you down and being racist as fuck and being proud of it. He's disgusting. Charlie Kirk wasn't racist and proud. I mean, come on. Keep it in perspective, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, he's just an all-white boy, man. He just want his white
I can't find the
He's not racist.
Nothing.
It's a white thing.
It's
guys, I have two questions. I have two questions regarding freedom of speech.
Hold on. You know what he said? He said, if I was on an airplane and the pilot was a black man,
I hope they're qualified.
I would question his credentials.
Right, wait, Shade. I'm gonna follow a question right now with you. Don't continue, because we've heard this on Clubhouse for 48 fucking hours.
That's all they talk about.
What was he talking about? What was he talking about when he said that? What was the context? What was the subject matter he was talking about? Correct. It was an example of somebody getting hired for a job that he said, I might question their credibility if I thought they were hired purely because of their skin tone. It's a very, very, very logical assumption. I understand that you don't like to fucking hear it, but again, if that's the most dangerous fucking thing that you've ever heard, because put a goddamn helmet on, put some pads on your wall, and make yourself really fucking safe and secure.
First of all,
okay?
why are we talking over the mod? Why are we talking over the mod?
I don't fucking know.
Like, what's
Sphinx.
going on?
It's because I'm throwing the energy out and give it back. I deserve it.
Let me just jump in real quick.
I'm done.
I put in the chat for you. You can happily go watch it. and enjoy some Charlie Kirk talking about fentanyl crisis consuming the country with Sheriff Land and Captain Enjoy together.
Talking about white people. Wait, hang on. I'm going to say something, okay? I'm going to say something for the room. I am tired of 48 hours now of hearing people give me their Cliff Note version of what the fuck he meant when he said these things that he's quoted saying, okay? You can go look at the quote and you can read it and you can tell me, I think he says this. What do you think? And then you can ask the person you're talking to what they think he said. I guarantee it won't be the same thing. Quit acting like your interpretation of his 2-minute fucking soliloquy is a quote that basically accounts for the fact that he demonizes black pilots. Please, that's a fucking characterization of a much longer point he's trying to make. And none of us, except the stupid ones, and nobody except a fucking moron without 2 brain cells to connect, is going to take your word for it that that's what he was actually saying, okay? They're going to listen to it and they're going to interpret it on their own. And I encourage you to do that, by the way. So every time somebody like you comes on and gives us a cliff note, I want the fucking link so that we can listen to 2 minutes more so that we can confirm that what you're saying makes some goddamn sense. Because some of us might vehemently disagree with you by hearing the same exact thing. And some of the people that disagree with you might even have black skin.
Let me point something out to Shade here, right? This is what we saying before, where this is what normal people think. I know you're taking that statement out of context, and right now, for example, Mike's saying it's DEI. This has been going on way longer, Shade. It's been called affirmative action. Now it's DEI. When you hear the way these programs are described and what they're supposed to be, it leads any normal person to come to this conclusion. Was this person qualified for this position? You have the current sitting Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, getting pissed about affirmative action because he was a well-qualified lawyer to be on the Supreme Court. And people have brought up affirmative action. Oh, is you affirmative action hire? And he almost wishes it wasn't there. Any normal person comes to this conclusion when they hear what these programs are and how they're described. If you don't come to that conclusion, you don't even understand what they are, or you're not critical thinking, or you're living with your fucking head buried in the sand. It doesn't make people racist when they bring it up. It's the fact of what the fuck those programs are literally described as.
It's their interpretation of the circumstances and the facts that are different than your interpretation of the circumstances and the facts. It happens every goddamn day. And the problem is that too many people want to listen to other people's opinions and then own those opinions as their own without actually going to the source and making their own decisions based on critical thinking principles and proper, reading and listening comprehension. It's a crisis in this country that people borrow their opinions from other people that give them Cliff Note versions through shaded glasses. It's a joke. And I'm not falling for it because for 2 days now I've heard people trying to gaslight rooms about shit he said by paraphrasing issues that are otherwise much more complicated than they're giving it credit for in their little freaking summaries. It's just a joke, and it's getting old. And every single time I hear somebody talk about, you know what he said about pilots? No, I don't. Please tell me. I have only heard it 60 fucking times in 48 hours.
Just real quick.
You should just hit that. And I've watched the video, by the way, so I know exactly what he said. I've already formed my own opinion based on the video, not on your shenanigans.
Real quick, Charlie Kirk's pilot statement is the natural conclusion of any normal person who hears DEI and affirmative action explained.
You know what though? See, I'm about to retort both y'all's arguments because this is y'all are being y'all are being
listen, honestly, in all due respect, honestly, I mean it. Make it short. I want to hear it, but then I want Sphinx and Simon to go next, please.
Yeah, I got you. So what I'm saying is, see. Again, when people hear things, they're not doing all this like deep dive thinking, shit that y'all doing. I literally said in my beginning of my submission that people are unstable out here on both sides. That's literally what I said. So what happens. He's pissed off the LGBTQs. He's pissed off the Palestinians, black people, women. I mean, shit.
Yep, he's exercised his freedom of speech. Thank God he's an American, because if he was in England, he would have been put in prison already.
You
Shade.
did a deep dive on it.
He exercises freedom of speech in a way that England would have put him in jail for. So there's nothing wrong with that. Be thankful that you're in a country.
People celebrating or joking about his death then, because they're also using their freedom of speech.
We didn't
Seriously.
We didn't do a deep dive into that topic, Shade. This is just what people know about it off the rip. The fact that they have trained everyone who's younger to not even be aware or question what affirmative action is or DEI is part of the fucking problem. That most normal people who hear it described, again, I'm saying it over and over again, question the legitimacy of the people now in those positions. Right. Younger people have now been trained to see absolutely zero wrong with those programs, and you basically have been propagandized and brainwashed. You don't even know that there's an alternative opinion of interpretation of that program.
And there's another thing that was said earlier in a room that made a lot of sense that I haven't really thought about. DEI was basically hijacked by corporations who didn't necessarily implement it the way it was intended. They actually did it a disservice by handling it the way they did. See, affirmative action was a lot more direct. It was like, this is our agenda. It's very clear. We're honest about it. DEI was not intended to be affirmative action version 2, but a lot of companies made it that way because they oversimplified what was being expected of them because they're lazy and they prioritize profit over the implication that it has on actual human beings to misinterpret the agenda that DEI proposed. DEI should have been an advanced method of actually making some systemic changes that would benefit people. But corporations didn't bother. They just oversimplified it and made it fucking look retarded to everybody that was suffering as the consequences on the back end of it. So a lot of it is we're not to be to blame for not understanding it, and the government's not to necessarily be to blame for putting it in effect. Corporations are to be blamed for vastly distorting what it was meant to be. And I think it's a good point. That's something we could even hold a room on to discuss it. But the reality is that a lot of us, especially the older people that were here before it, witnessed affirmative action, saw that come and go, then saw DEI come and go. Like, we're starting to see a trend here that these things are generally unfair and that they're not actually resulting in helping anybody, but even black people say white women. Apparently they benefit. So I don't know why black people fight so fucking hard for DEI and affirmative action when all they ever tell me is that white women benefit from it.
I like
so
how white people act like they don't have their own shit. Like, y'all got your own form of affirmative action.
Black people should be hating as much as white people do because you all know that white women apparently succeed with it.
Mike,
So.
but if
and nobody talks about the nepo babies. Nobody talks about the nepotism. So what about the people who have positions due to nepotism? I know you don't want to
one voice at a time. XG, please.
Exactly.
XG.
I knew I couldn't be standing alone in this.
The point of the white women and the DEI, I don't disagree with you. I'll make that clear first. I don't disagree with you. But if we understand that, because we've seen statistics, Charlie Kirk, Mr. Debate Man, has been looking at stats all day, and DEI is supposedly the reason that he was making the point against that black pilot. If you know, and assuming Charlie Kirk would also know that white women are the greatest beneficiaries of DEI, what's the point of making that comment to the black
Oh my God, I cannot stand this. DEI is not equal opportunity. White women benefit most from the Equal Opportunity Act, not DEI.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Serendipity works in HR, so she would be the subject matter expert of this.
Yeah, DEI is intended to be a broader, culturally focused approach to your company's culture about inclusion. It's essentially your corporation's attempt to show you how to be nice to other people. It has absolutely nothing to do with
quotas.
EEO.
Quotas.
Right. Affirmative action, that was actually intended to compensate for the past discriminations and level the playing field as far as the actual quotas. Exactly. DEI it's a cultural program. It's designed to improve the company culture with diversity, equity, and inclusion, making you embrace the LGBTQ community, making you embrace the different cultures and diversities within your workplace. It was essentially like a behavioral checkpoint. They're not the same thing.
I don't disagree with anything of what was just said. So if that's the case, then what was the point of making that comment about DEI to the pilot? That's what I'm not getting.
Ultimately, because of what it was supposed to XG, because of what I just, hang on, XG, because of what I just said, what it was supposed to be and what it ended up being. A lot of companies treat it just like affirmative action on steroids because they were too lazy to implement the nuance that was required to make a cultural change.
I understand the perception of it and how it was talked about, but we're talking about Charlie Kirk's.
No, it's how it was, right? It's not how it was talked about. It was how it was implemented.
What was just talked about.
It's how it was implemented, not talked about. It's how it actually occurred, and it's really obvious to the people who are victimized by the improper method that so many of these companies did. They used it like the companies were lazy about it, and they used it like a quota instead of using it to make systemic change in culture. And in that respect, it is likely that companies hired pilots who were less qualified because it was the easiest method of meeting the DEI requirements. That's why it was not very effective. That's why there's been a backlash against it, and why it's currently out of vogue. It's like, I mean, fucking Target dropped it from their website. Like, these companies are getting attacked for dropping this shit, and they're still dropping it. That tells you something. Shit's done. It didn't work the way they wanted. The companies didn't benefit the way they thought they would, and people didn't benefit. All kinds of people didn't benefit. It wasn't a good thing. Charlie Kirk was pointing that out, and he was just using pilots as an example because our lives are in their hands, and it was a dramatic example. And it was simplistic. It was overly simplified. I get it. But again, if that's the most goddamn violent thing you've ever fucking heard, please go join the Marine Corps. Spend a week in boot camp. You're gonna shit your pants.
By me pointing out that it's a fucked up thing to say doesn't mean I'm pointing out that he should have been shot over it. That's the thing.
Right. I agree. No, I know. I don't think you were doing that. I promise. I don't believe that one bit. Sphinx, do you want to say anything? Because you've been waiting a long time. I appreciate your patience.
Yeah. Thanks. It's regarding the freedom of speech. I feel like this is one of the biggest trap in the U.S., where it's the best place for the devil to hide, because it gives the opportunity for the liars to take advantage of everything, because then they're innocent until proven guilty. So I have two questions. The first one is, should there be more restriction to the freedom of speech beside call to violence? And the second one,
no, there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. People should learn to watch their fucking mouth. And again, at the end of the day,
we cannot limit it. We are so lucky to have it, Sphinx. We're so lucky to have it. Just go look at England. Look what's happening to them. We're so fucking lucky. We are not giving that shit up.
And the second question, which is maybe a little bit more, there's more room for thinking and digging deeper. Should there be more consequences?
Okay, but don't you think that you dig deeper, continuing to antagonize, regardless of whether you have the right or not? You know, it's one of those things where my family taught me at a very, very young age. Okay, you can be right. Okay, you can be right in the ilk and who you are, but at the same time, you could also be dead right. What are we doing?
Flippers, don't you always want to have the right to curse a hoe out? Because I know I do.
Right.
I want censorship. I want to always be free to say the N-word and curse a dumbass bitch the fuck out.
So, Nye, have you not understood that the rhetoric and the things that I've been saying over the last couple of weeks have been scaled back? Right? So at the end,
yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So again, there's a feeling in the air, right? And as a mechanism of human survival, you know when to keep your mouth shut, okay? The right to remain silent does not extend, giving our Constitution. It doesn't just extend to, criminality.
Wait, I need you have that because that was
you have the right to remain silent at any given fucking time. And again, like how I called out a lot of people on the conservative clubhouse side of giving them, listen, I see where this is going. Stop it. Stop it. I've been saying this for weeks now. Stop it.
Stop what?
He's saying tone down. Sometimes I like what he just said.
the demonization and the rhetoric. Stop it.
Yeah. What did you say for survival? You're right. You're right, because we've learned on this app especially, you say the wrong thing and people ready to dox you and send somebody to your house to fucking hurt you. So you're right about that.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. And look at
that's been your best point all night, man. You said a lot of shit in between, but when you say that shit, it stands.
Mike, this has been my point for weeks. Okay? This has been my point for weeks. People can continue through free speech, and again, there are consequences. People complained about getting clipped and all this other bullshit. Are people not understand? Like, this is crazy.
It doesn't seem to be consequences for Donald Trump, no? Donald Trump doesn't seem to
no, he doesn't have any consequences. He doesn't get consequences for anything.
So it's all relative, you know? It all depends on how much power you have. It depends how many judges you know. It depends if they have videos compromising of whatever you do. It depends how many connections you have in other countries. It depends if you know professional killers that can do something for you. It depends on if you have contracts. It depends if people have the opportunity to make you speak or to mute you. I think there's so much.
But again, stop being disanalogous. The government did not take a shot.
What do you mean?
The government did not take a shot at Charlie Kirk. Okay, the protections. Hold on. So the U.S. at large has freedom of speech protections from the government. Yes, we have certain homicide laws that protects, other people who are not a part of a government and engaging in unscrupulous behavior, but it doesn't change the fact that, again, people have a right to free speech, but people have the ability to do the unspeakable. That's simple common sense. Like, when are people going to understand this?
Yeah, because it's not like it was some years ago where you could just, you didn't have to worry about threats and doxing. A lot of y'all, and I blame my generation and probably the next generation, you've given birth to what I call people who make up the tender touch society. These folks are offended by everything and triggered by everything and don't believe in anything. And so, to Slipper's point, because we have to navigate through the tender touch society, which seems to have the biggest microphones, and they're ready to kill you, dox you, and threaten you because you say things like, bitch, wash your ass. He's right. We got to tone it.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I hear you guys. It would be if you could do one thing to make society instantaneously safer across the board, it'd be everybody just take a step back, just tone the fuck down. It would. I mean, I don't see it happening, but it would. But we're stressed out. We're all fucking stressed out, right?
Right, but
let's be honest, the American dream is slipping away. We know it. It stresses us out.
Right, Mike, but along the next theory, that if that does not work, okay, and if people are going to continue the same type of like-kind finger pointing, the next station is, okay, well, let's remove guns from white men. So, I mean, I keep saying this because, again, this is the reality of what people are listening to on both sides. This is crazy.
No, you know what's crazy? That's crazy for you to say that because everybody.
You don't need a gun to address.
Well, but if
you remove guns, there's still 99 other possibilities of doing so. So I think it's the wrong approach.
Well, we're not going to remove guns in America anyway. It's a moot point. The cat's out of the bag. That's a topic that literally doesn't even need to be had. But people have
it.
It's
not. But our president opened up that door. Our president opened up that door.
What door?
Let's remove a gun from a certain ilk of people, yet that
but again, people talk about it, but we all, if we just all accept that it's never going to fucking happen, then I just think we should move the conversation forward. It's just not going to fucking happen.
And that's my point. And that's my point. People up into our president, and this is me saying this, need to be more fucking responsible in the things that people are saying.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
In the end, what I truly believe as a patriot who still has immense faith and belief in my country, unlike a lot of people, is that the Constitution is messy. It's unclear. and it's general. It's very, very broad. And it was done that way on purpose so we can make interpretations as time and needs change. But the reality is the consequences of the broadness of it and the generality of it is that as things have been invented to push the limits of what's possible based within the parameters of those words that we all abide by, we've got ourselves in a conundrum. We've made our existences, our mutual existence, more dangerous in many ways. At the same time, as I see the rest of the world without the Constitution that we have, I mean, you can badmouth America all you want, but I guarantee everybody in the country of England right now wishes they had our Constitution. We should not forget that.
Mike, I understand where you're coming from.
Should not forget that.
Let's break this down, Mike. And I appreciate you for actually breaking. We're setting an example by having this conversation, right? So while we have the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, right? We also have the Second Amendment. So the fact that people have access to guns now, the control mechanisms legally behind how they deploy those guns and, commit unspeakable acts, the existence of this dichotomy in America should be enough for people to watch their mouths on both sides. The problems on both sides are not going anywhere. Nobody's going to compromise anybody's free speech given our Constitution. Nobody is going to successfully remove guns from our American populace. So when you look at a solution in the middle, is both sides need to tone it the fuck down.
Right.
Mike, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Imagine we have a time traveling machine, okay? And we go back to the founder fathers. We bring all the footage and all the twists and manipulation and fuck ups that Trump and his colleagues were able to do. Remove be able to manipulate the power of the press, the power of the executive, the justice system. What do you think they would? How do you think they would change the Constitution to prevent any of it?
I don't know. That's a hard question, but I would like to think they wouldn't change anything. They would add no specificity.
Don't you think they would be real scared?
I'd like to think that they knew all along that it was going to be dicey, and that's why they left it so broad. They knew this was an experiment. I mean, remember, this country has been a lot more violent toward one another than it is today. I mean, go back a month before the Civil War started, okay? Like, have you seen pictures of the men that died in the Civil War and the battlefields that were involved? I mean, I live in Georgia. It's a fucking disgusting picture. Like, this is not the most violent this country's ever been. By far, it's not the most violent.
Let me tell you where I disagree. I'm pretty sure that there are so many things that they didn't foresee. For example, the beginning, your democracy was based upon the idea that people wouldn't want to be a president. So that's how the system was. It was meant for anybody that had good intentions and had some set of skills at the proper time to push the country further in the right direction. But now it became that people that are powerful, they are billions of dollars, they have this, that. The next big thing they can do is say, hey, I want to be president.
Okay, so
they can just push it further.
You're right. There is one thing that I've always thought that I forgot to mention. Term limits. Short terms on leadership, especially in the Supreme Court. Longer terms for the House of Representatives, potentially shorter terms for senators, or shorter repeating terms.
Right. The intention at the beginning was that those three organs would be independent.
Right.
This is the strength of this.
Right, but the problem is that people are allowed to sit in them too long, and then they gain power and control, and then they make bad decisions that are in their own best interest.
And Mike,
that alone, I would have. Go ahead.
Mike, they would not have changed the Constitution. They would have pointed out that we have a legislative branch. They can write laws. They can write laws that are within the Constitution. You don't change
to make
the
it better
Constitution.
or make it worse. Don't forget about that.
Let me finish. They would not change the Constitution for term limits. They would write a law about term limits, and they can do that, and they have done things like that. They've altered it. I mean, the Senate was never originally was not elected by the people. It was elected by state legislatures. They changed that. They didn't change the Constitution. They just changed the way the voting worked.
Yeah, but there's a weakness in what you say, because what you say makes sense in a way, but it can go the other way as well. You can the way the system is made, you can poison it, and I think that's the problem that the United States has received throughout the decades. You put a little bit poison, a little bit more poison, everybody gets divided, and now you have some guy that can say to the news, "Shut up, or you will not be able to go into the White House." Or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that.
I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about. Who can't go into the White House?
Well, the judge, the president can say, "I want this judge to arrive," and then they are judged for a lifetime. So let's say that the president, it's a way. There's a possibility to empoison the system. So let's say you control which judge is going to be there, knowing that this person can be weak. And you're able to. I'm sorry, I'm lacking vocabulary. When you can manipulate them in a sense. So here you're going to receive $300,000 in a decade in this account, or $3 million for your retirement plan, or I'm gonna take care of your kids, or we're not going to show these chat logs when you were flirting with a minor. Or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean?
None of those things have anything to do with the Constitution. They all have to do with legislation and laws that are on the books. Change the laws. If you want to do something about that whole litany of things you listed off,
my point is the law can go. My point is those laws can become a problem. Either you say abortion is illegal, or whatever else can happen in the future. Because once a law is passed, it seemed to me that it's easier to pass a law than to break it.
You can eliminate a law. You can pass a new law.
It's harder.
It's actually kind of hard to pass a law.
And constitutional review and challenge.
It's pretty tough to pass
hard
a law.
Yes. No, my point is it's hard to pass a law, but it's harder to break it. There's this inertia.
To answer your question, I'm not sure the Constitution needs to be changed. I think that it's got enough flexibility, and I think the process allows for things to be adjusted after the fact, like they have been. It's an evolving document. It's growing and changing all the time. It's a giant experiment, and America did the best job anybody in the world with this experiment, and we're Marshall's a perfect guy for this conversation, but. Marshall, have you been listening to this or no?
I was in another room, but it sounds like you guys were talking about the Constitution.
Oh my God, I wish you were here. Yeah, I mean, Sphinx had some points. He asked if you could have a time machine. It's a good question for you, Sphinx. Let's ask Marshall. I actually have to go to bed soon, so now I'm going to give you the room, but I do want to hear Marshall's response. Sphinx said if the framers of the Constitution could go forward in time, and they could see
somebody
today.
Here, let's say somebody from CNN, or whoever you would say has the authority to say, I represent the future.
Yeah.
Regarding
even better yet, if they could see the future, if they could see today.
Yes.
And then they could go back to where they were when they framed it. What would they have done differently in the Constitution? What would they have changed?
Would they see this as a limit to what they foresaw, and they would have to change something in order to protect the system against these weaknesses?
Correct. What would they think after the fact about what exactly, like specifically how general and broad the First and the Second Amendment are, and how it's been interpreted, and also how the various branches are failing to work together properly at this point?
I mean, I think if I could wave a magic wand and see what they would go back in time and So we go forward in time and change. I think Madison might change his view that the beauty of the Constitution was that it would provide a space for people to think sincerely about issues. Because of the speed of information transfer at the time, you don't really, really consider issues versus the internet premises first impressions, which are not considered. And so people don't usually give their considered thought on a subject. I think the founders would go back in time, like come forward in time and go back in time. And I think they would think about guns, and I think they would make it a little bit more clear that like large cities could regulate guns a bit more stringently than rural areas.
Marshall, if you allow me, let's improve the premise, okay? Let's forget about the guns. I think it's a waste of time. Let's imagine something that seems to me way more threatening. You have Facebook and all these Halliburton and the company I forgot Palantir. You know what Palantir is? When you have those big companies that are so powerful and their power transcends the country. So United States is the strongest country, most powerful and
so you're thinking like when Rockefeller, his company, could influence the U.S. government with a single phone call.
A business that is so powerful and independent that the judiciary cannot do anything because the company deals straight with the population and transcends the limits of the country. So the power, and then, so this is one point. The second point would be the banks. When the country has debts over a bank, the bank has a power over the country that the legislations, it's like there are flaws. There's a control that they cannot, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but if you're talking about banking, that actually has a place in our history. Andrew Jackson hated the banks in the United States, thought that they were wrong. Central banking was the wrong way to operate. So he is responsible for the destruction of the second and the third bank of the United States of America, which we would understand now as the Fed. So that kind of anti-central banking atmosphere was known very, very widely in early America.
Can you expand, please?
People in America who read newspapers that centered to the Democratic Republicans, the party started by Jefferson, the papers slanted toward a distrust of central banking because they thought it gave the central bank control over some of the policy levers inside of the government. And I think maybe if the founders could come back, maybe they would say something like that about the Fed, but central banking, unfortunately, is not my strong suit. So I can tell you that some of the founders opposed.
kids. You got your shadow.